What you see is what you get. Raw coverage of real events and unedited conversations with real people so that you can make up your own mind. We're about to go live. Details are in the stream. Please hit that like button, it helps the algorithm, and share the link with your friends. Join us in the studio green room at chat.votermeetups.com. If you want to see more, hit subscribe and remember YouTube's bell icon. If you see value in what we do and you'd like to get involved, help out and return the value, come visit us at tvlove.org. That's tvlove.org. You are now watching WYSIWYG TV.
Ah, damn button. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that's working now. Hopefully that's working. Just not a fan of StreamYard. Tell me there's no sound still. No sound. There you go. Okay. Yeah, there's a wacky little button here that you got to push that you wouldn't see. Because the funny thing is, I'm hearing myself just fine, but that's because it's going through the mixer and doing its thing. Anyway, I should have checked it, but I didn't. How's everybody doing? Happy second day of Trump. Thank you, Doorknock. I appreciate that. Hey, Lenny. Welcome, everybody. It's been a little while. We got some catching up to do, but we're also doing a little trolling because you know me, I love a good troll. Hi, Susan H. I missed you guys too. Welcome. I'm going to say that a few times because it has been a while. I literally had to dust off everything, and I don't know. It's it's funny because some of you know I'm a bit of an introvert. I guess that's sort of what it is. So for me, it's having something really that I want to talk about, something that I'm comfortable sharing. Just a little bit rocky. The title's a bit of a troll. And we'll get to that. We had a lot to catch up on. The unicorn was in a big meeting, so I was waiting for boost your account security. I don't want to do that right now. It's got enough security. But yeah, let me see here. Watch the chat. I think I've got the chat on slow mode. That's to help me for no other reason. And yes, I did go through and unblock a whole lot of accounts. So whether you've changed your name, you're all welcome until you're not welcome. But the one thing I want to say today, more than any day ever, we're going to be adults. Because I think it's really important that it's adult time. There's a new adult in the White House, right? and there's a lot of adulting going on. So we're gonna be adults for a little while. And as long as you can be an adult, you're more than welcome to stay in the chat. But I have a short fuse today, but I'm going to be an adult. And here, let's do this. Because, I see, where is that? The invite. Let us copy this, put this in the chat. And then we're going to, don't do that. Pin message. Message pinned. There we go. Because this conversation is open to anyone. You know me, I'm not a talker. For those of you who know my live streams, I tried as hard as possible to not have a voice. But that wasn't always possible. So I'm not one to hog the mic, but you know, we do our best. We do what we can. But I wish the chat was a little bit bigger. B-Jax. Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of names in there that I didn't recognize or whatever. Like, I don't care, you know, but mods, we're going to be very generous today. I see Troy in there. Thank you, Troy. How you doing, buddy? Miss you. Door knocker. I see you. Thank you. So there's also something really special about today that I realized and I didn't think about, but I no longer have any sort of thought on this right here. Oh shoot, I gotta do it. I'm in the wrong button here. Give me a second because one of my favorite people is here. Private chat. Where's the damn chat? There's the comments right there. Let's see here. Show this one. Wizzy, why did you take your J6 videos down? This has been asked a lot. For those of you who aren't aware, when January 6th happened 4 years ago, YouTube was taking down channels with content related to January 6th. That is why my content was removed. YouTube didn't do it. I did it to avoid losing my channel. And I've spoken about this numerous times. Lenny, I'm back on your payroll. Thank you very much for the super chat. Please don't. I appreciate it. But please don't. This is not what this is for. And in fact, I probably should have turned those off. Honestly, I just didn't think about it. Look at that. You can do a little heart there. That's cool. I got to get used to this. I have on my screen, you can't see it. I can't show you. I could show you. It's no point, but you get it. I've got two different screens up with two different chats. It's the same chat, but one is for StreamYard and one is for YouTube, so that I can see what the moderators are doing. If they're timing anybody out, I'll get those notifications. Unlike some of the other streamers that are out there that don't realize and don't understand what their mods are doing, that get upset with you. So that's why I try to do this, because it actually gives me more control, because I can moderate a little bit as well. But the weird bathroom I found. If you don't follow my Twitter, you don't know what Hope is talking about. But I went to Washington County Courthouse today, where I was a juror. Well, I didn't get chosen as a juror. They only made it, I was number 105. And they made it to, I think it was like 40 something by the time they had a full jury. So now I got to go possibly, oh, shoot. We got to make that phone call here because I got to find out if I got to work. Hang on. You guys can join me for this. This will be fun. Oh, shoot. I don't have the number on me. Actually, maybe I do. Maybe I do. Hope, thanks for the reminder. Because if I don't, is that it? Yesterday. No. Let's see here. That's the number right there. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I realized I got to make this call. And I totally forgot about it because it's 4:30. What's the Twitter? The Twitter is WYSIWYG TV. You follow me, Zero Dark Tony. But I can actually probably play the video here too. But Hagerstown, Maryland. That was not the right number, apparently. Shoot, don't make me go downstairs and do that. Tony, alrighty. There we go. Yep, you got it, buddy. Let's see. I don't know the number. I might have to take a moment and run downstairs and get my paperwork, but we'll do it in a few minutes here. Anyway, get this back in. So I went to court. It was a fascinating. I've only done it once before. I got selected for jury duty in Burbank, I think it was L.A. County Court, but I had to show up. We sat there for, I don't know, maybe a couple hours, and basically hung out in an area, and never did anything. So that was my experience of jury duty. And then because we showed up and went through that day, and they didn't need a jury for that day, we all got released, and that was my service for 3 years. So I had never gotten called before. But then, being here in Maryland for a very short period of time, Trump let all the criminals out. Yep, they did enough time. Troll Central. They did enough time. That is what was decided. The adults are leading the charge now. So you're welcome. But so I get this message. And so what you have to do is you have to call in at 4:30 in the afternoon or after 4:30 to find out whether they need you to show up the next day. Anyway, they called 1 through 108 on Friday. So I showed up today at 8:45 for jury duty in the old Washington County Courthouse. Interesting old building. Sort of dilapidated, but clean. It was clean. And they check you in, and you go up to, I went to courtroom 1 and sat down, and everybody else who came in, and then they showed us a little video about what jury duty looks like. And the interesting thing to me is that when they did roll call, called everybody's numbers here, they did all that, and then the judge came in, and everybody stood up. And I've filmed a number of courtroom procedural TV shows, movies, whatever, and it was nothing like that. Right. The movies are very condensed in the process and whatnot. But so the judge tells us that, they're going to ask a series of questions. And if you answer yes to that question or anything of those questions, then you need to stand up and let yourself be known. And then they ask you a couple questions. They don't bring everybody up individually and ask them a series of, they do it all together. Anyway. And he went through a long list of questions, and there was people that stood up for various reasons, whether they had law enforcement background or people, in their lives that were law enforcement, whether, they had been convicted of felonies or any misdemeanors that jail time of more than 6 months, those types of questions. And they didn't weed anybody out, but they heard people, and anybody that stood up, the judge asked them, sort of detailed questions about whether they would be able to, do the job and be unbiased, not biased, but be able to be a good juror, right? And so we get through all that, and then they start calling numbers, and they bring 6 numbers up, and the prosecutor and the defense attorney. By the way, this was for a crime that happened here in Hagerstown. It was a assault robbery charge, and the defense attorney asked that the judge not read the charges, but the judge had to summarize them, which, great, whatever. They didn't want to waste the time. The judge had said that this would be a 1-day trial, jury trial. And so they went through the process, and they ended up picking by the time they got to 48, they had a full jury box, and they released everybody. So I got to come home. But I thought I was done. I thought, like, okay, great, I can go back to work tomorrow, do my life. And no, apparently I had to go downstairs. Had I left, I would have never made a phone call. I wouldn't have done anything. But apparently I have to make this phone call every day this week to see if I need to reappear. But I had started tweeting on X, posting on X about what I was seeing. You can't take camera photos, pictures, video, whatever in the courtroom, but it has an old courtroom, and it's got a series of eras represented within the courtroom. And I looked up, and it's got this big sort of what would appear like an atrium style ceiling with white ceiling tiles, drop ceiling tiles in there, and they're all bowed. The ceiling tiles aren't that expensive. They could replace those easily. The clear plastic, light plastic pieces, we got a guest. We'll get to you here in a second. But there was so much debris. That's what caught my eye first and foremost, was all this debris that's sitting on these clear plastic tiles with the light coming through. And I was like, that's weird. But like the room was painted, but it was old and mismatched chairs, and I wouldn't have expected that. But in a way, I realized that where I live in Washington County, they probably just don't spend their money well. And it's a beautiful building. Looks nice on the outside. But we got somebody named Mosh. Let's see who this is. Mosh.
I go way back, man. The with all the crew, we all started meeting all the patriots when the Canada boys did the Convoy Freedom Movement, and then we got all the other movements.
Really?
Yeah. I could start naming off names and all that, but I was just giving you. You said you might have to go downstairs. All this. I'm gonna say I was gonna give an update. I've been on YouTube all last night, all today. We're waiting on the January 6ers to get released. We were told it's gonna be midnight yesterday.
Yeah.
The breaking news.
Some of them did get out last night, right? I saw a video where 6 of them
heard
came
that
out.
two brothers, as far as DC,
Yeah,
two
DC,
brothers that were recently arrested. And but as far as DC again today, they said 3 p.m., and now here it is, almost 2 hours later, and we're still waiting.
Right. Yeah.
And now the cops are being scumbags, giving everybody parking tickets for no reason.
Sure.
Well, there's a lot of BS going on, bro.
Yeah, I've been watching that.
I've got like four people that are live out there that have been flipping across.
Yeah. I've been bouncing through the typical Freedom Corner live streams. Glory Be, Trooper, Rebecca, And then I see that Big D is out there. He's come in.
1776 is out there.
Yep,
Yeah.
1776. Yeah, he's under that one now.
And speaking of Glory B, she just got shut off. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
She normally don't just boom. So
sure. Maybe she lost some battery or something, but we all know how hard it is to keep a live stream when you're out on the street, especially in DC, where you'd think you'd have really good signal, but that's not necessarily the case. So
it's like free them all. Come on, free them all. Yeah. Let's go. Let them go.
Are you Canadian?
No, I'm all American, man.
Oh, okay. I feel like I've bounced into your stream once or twice, or gotten to your stream from somewhere else.
I was really modding up and restreaming a lot of Travel Fun 69.
Okay.
He did all the he did multiple rallies.
Yeah, I've seen him get around.
Yeah,
and I had met him at in Hagerstown here during the convoy.
Yeah, and I see Santa is back.
Yeah, Santa's doing his daily affirmations. I see, and
yeah, he's
some cooking,
talking about the ward, and if you're into the ward, get going. Yeah,
yeah. Everybody tries to find a way to do what suits them best, and I wish them all luck always.
And as far as IRL, Oreo's also out there. He's doing it on his Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's yesterday was interesting to watch what was going on with the pardons. From the documentation I saw, and correct me if I'm wrong, there were 14 names on the list that included Joe Biggs that were not pardoned, but commuted is the word I've been looking for. Did you see that?
I heard a little bit about it. I would need more info.
Right. So 14 commuted, and then all the rest, the other 1,500, were all a blanket pardon.
Yeah, I heard there's 1,500. Yep.
Yeah, and I believe that included Enrique, who, from some accounts, appears to have been released. He was not on the commutation list, so he would have been released under the direct pardons. So,
and there's some shady stuff. One female got the call that her family members being released. She went out there, and later they're like, "Oh, we made a mistake. He's not being released."
Right.
It's like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?"
Right. I'm trying to think of his name. The Green Beret, James something or another. They were just talking about him a little while ago on News to Share. Well, all the streams I think heard it. They made an announcement that it had something to do with a grenade that was found, according to the person giving the announcement, was talking about there was no DNA of James's found on the grenade, which was interesting, and that this Green Beret wouldn't just have a random grenade underneath his kitchen sink with kids in the house. So there's a lot to that story that I have not heard. It's, for me, it's a lot to try to follow all the characters and the charges against them.
Yeah.
But it's what catches my eye is when there's arguments amongst political commentators, especially it was the Tim Pool and little liberal kid, I can't think of his name, that had me looking up some things about Enrique, because the claim that of this evidence that they had, and so it was interesting. I had to look into that, which was to say the least, very speculative of what the meaning behind words are. Because do you know what the biggest concern for J6 protesters was back then 4 years ago?
Go ahead.
It was Antifa. It was the black bloc groups that were roaming the streets of DC in the months prior, attacking conservative voices. And that was most of what the chatter was online, and in preparation for people to go to DC for the January 6th rally that Trump had called everyone to DC for. So the big concern that people had was being attacked by these left-wing activists that so many have tried to gaslight their way out of. That there's some people that believe that the protesters on Inauguration Day 2016 were not Antifa fascist, activists. I don't know if you remember, sort of the most historic video that was out there at the time was the black limousine driver that they torched his limousine.
So many of those videos get removed, and but
they're out there. They're out there.
There's other websites. Yeah.
G asks, this is interesting. And I meant to put your name back up there, our name. But does Mosh know what speculative means?
I've got so much going on in my life right now. I got my personal life issues going on. And plus, I'm celebrating. Trump being a man of his word, saying, "Hey, let's let him go," but then he's signing it, saying, "Let them go," and I just love it. So come on, release them all. I'm excited. Like I said, I spent hours and hours and hours. I was live like 7 hours last night. I restreamed like every person I could find on YouTube. I'm restreaming. Sure. I also pop out their links and all that. So I'm a good guy, and I give shout outs, and I'm here for freedom, and I'm doing what I can, just like everybody else. Hit a like, hit a share, and
What was your favorite part of yesterday? With everything that had to do with the inauguration, what was your favorite moment?
Wow.
I know there was a lot of great moments. Can you point to a favorite maybe? I would say the first thing that pops in your head from yesterday is probably going to be the most memorable. I
liked when he just started signing off live on some of those. He's like
the press conference from the Oval Office.
He's having the announcer read off, "Well, we're going to do this," and sign it off. And he did like 15 in a row there.
Right.
Like,
because I saw there was two different moments where that happened. The first one was at the Capitol Arena. They had the table sitting there, and that was the first stage. And then later on, he's back in the Oval Office, and the press is all right there with him. And he's answering questions. Peter Ducey and him had an interesting exchange and conversation. And that to me was the moment. Something we just haven't seen in a long time, being over 4 years. That sort of willingness to take questions from the press in a relaxed sort of atmosphere.
Linda, we could talk about that another time. My apology if so. Could have been a mod. I don't know.
I know. People get so offended by it. It happens. And sometimes, it's friendly fire. Sometimes you just said something that you need a little time out. I get it. Linda Lou's, not that person necessarily, but sometimes, that happens.
I'm honestly not recalling her. So maybe it was a mod that just...
Yeah. Good Vibe says, I was at Capital One Arena. That must have been pretty exciting. I enjoyed the idea of the indoor. Everybody seemed that much happier. They didn't seem miserable to be standing out in the cold. I want to know whose idea it was to have an inauguration on the Capitol steps in the middle of January. At what point did they start doing that seemed like a good idea? Because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be miserably fucking cold.
Yeah.
Right. And at some point you got to make a decision. Trump is a showman. He knows how to put on a show. He's an entertainer. And I guarantee he goes, why are we doing this? Move it inside. And I think they did a spectacular job, especially kind of at the last minute like that. So good on them. Good on them. Plus you got to see all the outfits and everybody dressed to the nines, and just, what are you going to do? It wasn't a miserable experience out in the cold. So Mosh, I appreciate
they had
you
the different
joining us.
rooms with different people and different, the bands, right? And it was the military. It was interesting.
Marching bands inside in a nice controlled area. Like, I think it was all around better for everyone. I know people wanted to be there to see it, but look, even if you were out on the Capitol grounds, you wouldn't have seen anything, So I think with DC, you go there for the atmosphere, you find a place to sit down and you watch it on TV, you watch it on the computer, you hang with a bunch of people who like-minded are there for the victory, there to celebrate the win. And I think it was great. I personally enjoyed it very, very much. I hope they never do it any different. Sherry says it was elegant. Yeah, I think it was elegant.
Yes, a female by the name of Rachel Powell did get released today. Yep, she's got a website like rachelpowell.net. I believe it's with 2 L's at the end. And she's got like 8 kids. So if anybody wants to look her up and donate some support, feel free to do so.
I remember when she was getting ready to go to jail to serve her sentence.
Oh, really?
Wow. I don't even remember what she was convicted of. I actually meant to look that up. Let's see. 2023 was sentenced. Let's see here. Pennsylvania woman. United States Attorney Office, District of Columbia. Pennsylvania woman sentenced on felony and misdemeanor charges for actions during January 6th Capitol breach. Rachel Powell sentenced to 57 months in prison and 36 months of supervised release by Judge Royce Lamberth. Judge Lamberth also ordered Powell to pay more than $8,000 in restitution, fines, and fees. Powell was found guilty on July 18th, 2023, following a bench trial before Judge Lamberth of civil disorder, obstruction of an official proceeding, and aiding and abetting. Aiding and abetting what? Entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds with a deadly or dangerous deadly. What does she have? A stick? Come on. Let's see here. According to court documents and evidence presented during the trial, Powell was one of the first riders to break through onto Capitol grounds near Peace Circle. That's where I was. At West Plaza, Powell pushed against barricades and encouraged other riders to attack the police line. That's interesting. I'll have to look back at footage and see. I don't know that I remember a woman being on the front line there. I remember the men who were there. Powell climbed up the lower terrace, what they call LWT, and eventually entered the Capitol itself through a broken window. Powell later used an she's the one with the ice axe, and a battering ram to break through a different window and breach the Capitol. Mosh.
I've seen what she looks like.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but yeah, that's
fun fact. Yeah. Do you know where most of these weapons they call came from?
Boy.
Be crazy. Go out on a limb and give me your best guess.
There is a guy in a van handing them out to people.
Not even that far. That's You didn't go far enough on your limb. They were actually there, a lot of them. There were most of the stuff that people had picked up right there were these wooden boxes. So when January 6th occurred, because you're 14 days until the inauguration, they were in the process of building and setting up the scaffolding and the chairs. And even in my video, like, there were people there that were protesting that had grabbed chairs off these piles, stacks of rented chairs, and opened up chairs and just were sitting, hanging out. And that was sort of over by the lower tier off to the side on the grass. But they had left their tools. They had left everything they needed to build the stage and whatnot, all right there. Was all left out on the lawn.
Wow.
So I know that they say it's an ice pick, but there's specially tools for rigging and whatnot. Have
you ever seen a picture of the so-called ice pick? I'd love to see it.
I actually have. It's very hard to identify, other than it looks like a hammer that's designed to remove and place pins in scaffolding, because scaffolding has sort of a triangular shaped pin that once you place the scaffolding down, you have this pin that goes through and locks it all together. As a grip, I did a lot of scaffolding and staging and things like that. It was not my favorite thing to do. I preferred to push a dolly, but sometimes you got to do that, because even a dolly grip has to use scaffolding and whatnot to place cameras. It's really interesting. So my thing, besides what you see is what you get, is I like to ask the question, why? Why were these things there? Well, because they were being used. A lot of this, people, I know that people were there mostly concerned about protecting themselves from these attacks that had happened. Just in the month prior, there were some left-wing activists that came out and started stabbing people, conservatives. That's one of the events that happened. I forget whether they had an event at the White House one night, not too long before January 6th. And I don't remember what the event was, but I remember watching live streams and videos of Republicans. Rand Paul was one of those. Him and his wife were mobbed by left-wing activists as they left the White House that night. They made it basically so that they couldn't leave the White House without having to go through this crowd of protesters that were violently attacking people. So that was sort of the biggest concern on people's minds. That's where a lot of them came prepared with body armor, helmets, shields, things like that, because of these attacks by these self-proclaimed Antifa groups in DC. There's no gaslighting there, because there's documented evidence. There's video of these groups running the streets. I expected to see Antifa mobs attacking people on January 6th. But the weird part was they didn't show up. They weren't seen. If they were out there, they weren't there in the same way.
Oh, there's people say there were some dressed as with Maggie gear on. I've heard it all.
Right. The best example is Jade Next, John. He was a well-known Portland Antifa member, had live streams and videos in his house dressed in black, and the weapons that he had and how he would go out and protest. And he was part of these the attacks on the federal courthouse up there, that we would watch night after night. for a long time, even before I started streaming, there were left-wing activists who were live streaming these protests, right? That was the thing to do. They wanted to do that. Now, their MO was show the ground, show the police, never show protesters. They had a code that they lived by. And then eventually that went away. They had to stop doing that. They could document, they could take videos, but they had to keep control because the live stream was too reckless. They stopped live streaming. But they used their press moniker as a way to avoid police or trying to stay in these protests by claiming to be, First Amendment protected media. They all took on media roles. That was one of their actions. That was one of their roles that they would have. And that worked for a little while, but the police sort of they knew who these protesters were, and they knew who the press was and who wasn't really press, that were just trying to utilize this tactic. But yeah. So I have no doubt that they were there. John is one of the prime examples that people turn to. And for anybody that actually saw his live stream from that day and inside the Capitol, there's a reason why he went to jail for inciting and pushing his way through police officers. He used those same very tactics that they used in Portland, Seattle, with the police officers into the Capitol. And I wish I had a copy of that. I know I had bitten pieces of his live stream from when Ashley Babbitt was murdered, but I didn't have the entire live stream recorded. And at that time, I knew that live stream would disappear. So I know I have a copy of that someplace. But now at this point, it's been shown so many times, and everybody has seen it. But I don't know, Mosh, if you've seen. I know you've been paying attention to a lot of other things. Portland or Seattle, the ICE building that they had been attacking years ago, apparently got attacked overnight. Katie Daviscourt on her Twitter had posted video from that last night. So they're at it again. And in LA yesterday, they had big protest, everything protest, and everything everywhere all at once protest, as I like to call it now, in LA. They hate Trump there. He's going to be there on Friday. I'm excited to see how that goes.
There's been a lot going on. There's been we got the drones, possible UFOs, the fog, the fog. There's stuff with the fires and the fogs that some of it we can't talk about, some of it you can't, some of it you got to talk on code because we're on YouTube. Yeah.
It's these days, Mosh, I'm honestly I don't really care. I lose my channel, I lose something, I don't care. I cared for a long time because it allowed me to show people, as many people as possible. But I realized at some point it just doesn't matter, Mosh. It's for some people it's a business, it's something they do. I'm not sure your situation, what you've got going on, but until we get this straightened out to the point.
Oh, I'm just me. I'm Mike Mosh. So I like my sports stuff, but I like my music stuff. I like my freedom stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not monetized. I do my little, hey, here's my PayPal Cash App, and whatever happens.
That's good.
Like anybody ever needs support, like if you like, hey Mosh, I lost my channel, I'll be like, hey, come on. Come on. Yeah. We'll pop your new channel and I'll put out your link for 6 hours. Yeah, I'm kind of that guy.
Yeah, and that's sort of a good way to do it, you know. And then there's, you know, the ban evasion, obviously, that's something else, and you know. But hey, it's you decide what kind of content you're going to make and do it. But you know, there's certain things you can't talk about, and it is what it is. You go over someplace else and have that conversation, and anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Mosh,
guess the new thing, I just learned this within the past week.
yeah,
You can't say somebody died or something, or somebody's dead. You got to say they're not alive or
yeah,
they're
they're
unalive.
unalived. Yeah, they've been doing that for a long time.
I see. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't. You know, whatever. If people
Yeah.
can't, you know, words are important. But it is what it is. You know, we couldn't say COVID and vaccine and all these other things for a long time. But all the trolls are out. Jerry
Well, you
Springer,
say COVID-19, and then you say jabbery, or yeah.
yeah, I refuse. I absolutely refuse. I can't do it, Mosh. I can't. That's just not my thing. So if the truth is too hard for people or too much for the YouTube, it is what it is. You know, maybe just take it all. Follow me on Twitter, X. You know, I was thinking about doing live streams on X because I know that is the last free bastion in this country.
Just put your Twitter in your description, and you can also have any of your mods. You can have your mods randomly pop that in your chat.
Yeah. You know, people kind of know it's WYSIWYG TV, but not, you know, not everybody YouTube is still the biggest platform, and I get it. Like I know why I watch YouTube. I pay for a YouTube premium subscription. I hate seeing the commercials. When I gave my lady I call her the unicorn. I put her on my family account, and she didn't understand why. I go, this is why. Wait. I don't have to watch no. So getting rid of all the commercials.
I got ads. I hate them, but I got ads.
I know it is one of those things. I'm too impatient. And when you get a family account and you share it amongst 4 friends, you and 4 friends, it's worth every penny.
Oh yeah.
So we don't pay for cable, so it's those little things that make all the world of difference. Plus, you get the YouTube TV channels. Well, you used to. They had a great show called, it's not Doug. I can't remember the kid's name.
Now the breaking news in DC. 15 out of the 22 there will be released. I would have thought they had more than 22 there, but
well, I heard the number was as high as 24, but nobody was ever actually able to give an exact number. Even those people who follow this like a soap opera, these left-wing activists who have been after these people forever, they don't even know how many people are there. So, fake Z. If you can't act like an adult, you're not going to be welcome here. So it's you got to do better. You probably missed the beginning, but I'll repeat myself. Tonight is no bullshit. You're welcome here, but you're not welcome to be a child. So you're going to be a child, go be a child somewhere else. Go be a child with Daisy. So serious question for Mosh. Here, let's entertain G. Is he still with Marcia? Marissa.
Not at this moment.
Who's Marissa?
It was one of my my YouTube girlfriend. We had met a couple times. We had met a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Well, I'm
congratulations. Sorry. Gee, she really stays up with all of the drama. You know, G Abbott, she really hates us all. She's one of these undercover love bombers.
And somebody asked me about Daisy. Am I supposed to know about Daisy for some reason?
Yeah, well, you know, it's you got to be in the know, Mosh. You got to know who the characters are, and you don't. I say that with a lot of sarcasm. My sarcasm sucks. I don't like sarcasm personally, but yeah, no, it's she's just another character on the internet who does what she does, and not somebody you need to pay attention to. Not worthwhile. So she's the kind of person that these far left or left wing people like to use to sort of define an entire group of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're not adults enough to realize that we are all individuals. And that that's all it is, right? So it is what it is. We we don't treat them all the same. We treat them as they act. But yeah, I'm sure there's some hypocrisy in there someplace. But if you got blue hair, the first thing I think is you are a left-wing nut job. But then I have met some conservatives with blue hair, and I go, "What are you doing?" Not one of them has ever said, "Well, I'm undercover. I'm trying to act liberal."
Yeah, it's like for the older people, older, it was the military people had the tattoos. And then, well, it's military and bikers, they got the tattoos. And then it's pretty soon, now it's like anybody's got tattoos, yeah.
Right. Do you know about gang tattoos?
Oh, yeah, gangs, yeah,
Right.
totally.
Yeah. Gang tattoos are very interesting. That's a good tell, I would say, to learn. It's good code pink, if that makes sense. Because I back in LA, I could spot an MS-13 gang member just about anywhere. But the gangs have, from what I understand, gotten a little smarter and had some of the significant tattoos, the more obvious tattoos, removed because it became a problem. But yeah, good skill to have, especially right now. Because I don't imagine those gangs are going to take lightly to being called a terrorist group or being called terrorist groups, as they've been now assigned per some of those the one executive order that Trump signed last night. So.
Yeah, the whole jury duty, you can just put in your friend's address that lives like out of that county, and I've never had a problem with it.
I might need some translation on this wonderful comment. Wizzy is the guy in the "Don't Be Your Parents" commercial. Blue? Help me. Apparently I'm that guy. Good one, Bunny B. I saw you floating around in Big D's chat. Welcome. Be an adult. I'm sure those people at the shows that Mosh goes to are just prim and proper. What shows do you go to, Mosh?
Oh, I'll go see. Actually, to be honest, I go see. I love live music. Got a lot of jam nights. Got a blues night. So I mean, it depends on what crowd I'm at. I'll go to like I said, I can go to a blues night, a total blues night, a bunch of older people there. Then on the weekend, I'm at a punk rock show with people slam dancing. So it's a mixture of crowds.
Right. Mosh pit, isn't that what that's called?
Yeah.
Or was a mosh pit something else?
Yeah.
Is that where mosh comes from? Do you mosh? Do you swing elbows?
Yeah.
No. I was not a fan of mosh. It's not my thing. But hey, I've seen some good ones. But yeah, not my thing. So favorite genre of music, Mosh?
I'm the metal guy because I like
I like the metal.
Like it heavy and not fast. I play guitar, bass, some drums. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But all live music, and people that play instruments and
yeah. Good live music. All right. I'm sure that you're happy to have that back after COVID.
Yeah, and I'm at a really nice area here within 10 miles. I got like 7 places that have stages and live music.
Cool.
Yeah, live music all over.
I can't think of one place near me that has live music, but I know there's got to be. I live in a very shitty town, apparently, with zero entertainment.
Like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I can go see live music every night.
Cool. Yeah. That's good. All right. Well, hey, Masha, I appreciate you joining.
Yeah, man.
It was nice talking to you.
You're a effing legend. No disrespect, but you're a legend, bro.
All right.
Keep doing what you're doing. I wasn't here to take up your time, waste your time.
No, it was open to anyone to come up and join and hang out. And
whether you go live for 2 more hours or you just want me off, that's fine, man. No problem.
No, we're gonna stick around.
We're gonna do, and like I said, I hope they free them all. Free them all. Let's go.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Mosh.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you again. Mosh, everybody. One of my favorite people, JFK, just showed up. I don't know, maybe been around for a while. Let's say, judge and you shall be judged. Christians. Not all Christians. And come on, Mosh, or JFK, don't tell me you fucking liberals don't judge the shit out of everybody. So don't play that hypocrisy bullshit with me. You know exactly what you do. Why don't you come join me, JFK? It would be fun to have a conversation with you for the first time. I unbanned you from the chat. Tucker's good. That darn dog, man. He's a snow dog. He does not mind the snow, which is funny. He'll sit out there in the cold all day long if he could. I won't let him. But define liberal for the class. I'm actually a liberal, G. Let's say far left and progressive is the bad liberal. Liberal just flows off the tongue, G, so easily. Why don't you join me? You and I could have a really nice conversation. It's been so long since we've talked. I'm curious if you've changed at all. Your chat persona has definitely chilled out a little bit, maybe because you realize that like you just don't survive in the chat if you don't. But yeah, Shirley was accidentally in a mosh pit. I went to see 9 Inch Nails, the Bay Area once. Cop saved me and put me by a wall. He said I was too old to be there. Oh, that's pretty good. See, why do I like? I listen to 9 Inch Nails too, but I don't think of 9 Inch Nails in mosh pits. I'm not sure why that is the case, but thank goodness, door knocker. I don't see the point of it either. Mosh pits are better than war. Oh, it's sometimes it isn't. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things are better than war. There's very few people die in mosh pits. Dr. Broccoli, it's up to you. You're more than welcome to. If you got a notebook and a pen, pencil standing by, you're more than welcome to. What do you say we change the subject? Do you want to? Let's see. Do we want to go to DOA or sticker chick? Which would be more fun to discuss? Should we do DOA? I know you guys love talking about DOA, but what happened to Rooster Doll? Who knows? She could be in this chat someplace. You never, ever know. You never know. But sometimes people just need a break from the bullshit. I know that. The bullshit gets pretty thick and deep. Sometimes you just got to stay the fuck out of it because there's no benefit to the bullshit. So there's that. We all love Rooster. And hopefully she's doing well and she's healthy. And yeah. When will egg prices go down? Well, that's a good question. So let's think. So G Abbott, G is me, G Abbott. You change your name, but you'll always be G Abbott to me, no matter what. By the way, these lights make my eyes water. I don't know how actors do it. Like, I could turn them off, but then you couldn't see me. And not that you need to see me. I'd rather be behind something, but I don't think it sells an idea quite so much when you're like your little dot on the screen that throbs when you're talking. You know what I mean, G? You'll always be G Abbott to me too. Good. Okay. All right. I hate to misname you. Feels wrong, but old habits are hard to break. But I think personally that prices are going to go down fairly quickly once we get our energy independence back, and fuel prices go down. As fuel prices go down, prices across the board should go down. Now, you can't undo overnight anything, right? And I know that, like, progressives, lefties, we'll call you, want to sort of hate on Trump. They didn't ever hate on Joe Biden for doing this to us. But I think it actually might take longer to undo than it did to get us to this point where everything has ridiculously gone up. Hey, Telescope, what's going on? Let's entertain Telescope for a minute. Telling a person that stalked me to put a needle in their arm isn't telling them to unalive themselves. Wow. Let me guess. Are you arguing with Brett Boyle? Clipped what I said, genius. What you said, genius. Are you calling me a genius, Brett? Biden was treasonous. Bill Baker, did you see the clip of the Speaker of the House talking about having a conversation with Joe Biden about natural gas pipelines, and that he didn't realize what he had signed or known what he had signed? So, hey, Telescope and Brett, like I said, you guys are welcome here, but we're only going to put up with so much of this. So be adults. Be adults. Oh, boy. Brett, don't make me do it. Don't make me make you the first one, Brett. There's a girl on a new channel I'm watching, and her name starts with DJ something or another. I doubt it, Christy B. I don't think that, you never know. Anything is possible. Anything is possible these days. I've been seeing a lot of like these AI generated YouTube channels, especially when it comes to the anti-Scientology protesters. They tend to use a lot of AI. Some of them. There's like a couple of channels that are using AI. But let me pull this up here because I wanted to show you something fun. I don't speak up too often, but let me present this. I'm having a Mina moment. I'm having a hard time. Yeah, there we go. Hard time sharing this. This is Scott's stream from today. Let me know if you guys can hear this. Door knocker. Can you hear the video? Should be coming through.
Yeah, sure. You want to say hi to them?
Hi, chat.
So this is...
Well, I'm not excited now that I heard.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I feel bad for...
So this is a character named Lara FM. Scott, a.k.a. DOA, can't say her real name, calls her Laura. Her name is Lara, Lara. I don't want to tell her story, but you can find her on YouTube at Lara FM, like the frequency, Lara FM, and you can go watch her videos. She is a musical artist from Los Angeles. They all live in Los Angeles. And again, I'm not telling you anything that she hasn't told you herself. Lara is a former Scientologist, much like myself. They don't like to believe that, and they don't think that's true, but it is. Over 10 years. Some of you might have been here for the... let me see. I'm sure I still have it. Voicemail. Let's see here. Oh, shoot. Okay, you guys, listen. We have to take a 5-minute break. 10-minute break. I have to make this phone call because I realize I have to let them know if I'm going to work tomorrow. So I will be back in 10 minutes. I'm going to run downstairs, get what I need, make this phone call. You guys don't go anywhere. I don't have anything music-wise. I don't have any, I don't know. There's something. It's break time, but it's only like 3 seconds. It doesn't do me any good. And the other one's a minute. I could put it on rerun, but you guys don't need to hear that. Talk amongst yourself. Enjoy the time. Maybe take a minute and go over and check out Lara FM on YouTube. See what she's talking about. Get to know her for 10 minutes, and I'll be right back. Just a minute. I mute myself out, and I'll be back. All right. I do not have jury duty tomorrow. I can resume normal life. Sorry. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Bill the Baker, and everybody else. In just about every YouTube channel, there is a section to put words that are not permitted in the chat. So if you see that you posted something that didn't show up, most likely one of those words are in there. If you want to figure out what that word is, you could put it in and see if it doesn't show up. Then you know that's the banned word. But the entire chat is removed, right? So that's what that is. So you said something that wasn't allowed, apparently. Yeah, because it wasn't removed by anybody else. I see you retracted something. A couple things you said. I mistype and I retract things that I say as well. But let me get this back up here. Where'd it go? It came up while I was downstairs. This was from... Why is it not there? Oh, Fakesy. This was a comment from Fakes from the Reels. The Ariels? I don't know where you guys come up with these names, but impossible to pronounce for an old guy like me. But anyway, Wizzy, do you actually think Scientology is going to show you the abuse and expose themselves? Come on now. Okay, so let's break this down so that everybody can hopefully clearly understand. First off, let us have Fake Z. Why don't you give me one of the claims that you're referring to, first and foremost? Because, look, you guys don't know me from Adam. You know me from this live stream, and that's about it. I personally was a very bad Scientologist. I didn't want anybody to know that I was doing Scientology when I was there. Mainly because coming from Hollywood, you hear all of the stories, right? So, me personally, I met a Scientologist. Here's Joshua. I met a Scientologist that I thought, this person's not weird. I'm curious. So I went in for myself to get an understanding, and hang on one second. Gotta message my boss here. Story for tomorrow. Okay. I told you guys the story. I have a story for work people. Serge Del Mar said he was trafficked as a child by Scientology, is what Joshua says. This is a claim that I have heard over and over from just about every one of the anti-Scientology protesters. So facts matter, right? For those of you who don't know me, I seek the truth, whatever that is. The fact of the matter, as Serge, who was brought to the United States as a child of Scientology parents, and I'm trying to figure out like how to help everyone in the chat understand and give you background, right? So as a quick side note to why someone who's a Scientologist in South America, because I don't remember where exactly Serge is from, but in Scientology, and I'll share it, like most people recognize what the Vatican is. Christianity, I would imagine, is very similar. Like, you learn to be a priest, you further your education in religion. There's only so many places you can do that. So if you want to become Pope, I would imagine you need to go to the Vatican at some point to get that higher level of religious training, right? And Scientology works the same way, is that you have these different type of what they call orgs all over the world. And what they refer to as religious technology is only taught in certain places. For instance, Los Angeles teaches certain levels of quote unquote auditing. Auditing kind of is a broader term for their religious tech, because there's different types of auditing, right? And so Serge's family, from what I understand, were part of the Sea Org, the Sea Organization, which is a commitment level to the church where basically you're becoming like a nun or a priest, whatnot, and you've given your life to the church and you become a part of the church in that sense. And there's lots of different roles within the church, whether you're an auditor or supporting the churches themselves as maintenance. You can do all kinds of any number of things, just like you would in the military, for instance. You're going to have a lot of different roles in the military. You're still in the military, and military pay and things like that are based on what you're doing anyway. So that's the Sea Org side, and then you have the what they refer to them as. If you're not in the Sea Org, but you're not private, you're there's a term for it's not a term that I used a lot. In fact, I didn't learn the term until I started watching the anti-Scientology protesters. Your general public, you're a public Scientologist, where you go in and you do Scientology and you take courses and you're a part of the church that way. So you're kind of one side or the other. And then there's also, there's a third one, which is if you're staff, you can be non-Scientology, non-Sea Org, and be on staff at one of the church orgs and do that. So I don't know whether Serge's parents were staff or Sea Org. They came to Los Angeles to continue their religious services at a higher level. And they brought Serge as a child to the United States. And that is what these anti-Scientologist protesters refer to as trafficking, because Serge's parents brought him to the United States, where he has continued to live even after he left Scientology. So that is the sort of fact-based portion of that. Serge wants to say he was trafficked. What he doesn't tell you is that, yes, his parents brought him here. The church didn't rip him out of South America and bring him to the United States. His parents did. He's said that on his live stream. Yes, Bullets and Barbecue, there are laws about harassing religious gatherings. Absolutely. And that's where these 8 charges that Scott has potentially coming, as the legal department there in Los Angeles told him when he confronted them, that there are 8 cases pending over that. So, and look, I don't practice Scientology. I am not a Scientologist. I haven't been in Scientology for 10 years. The reason I have started discussing this was strictly because of what Scott did when he first got to Los Angeles and brought me into this challenge, we'll call it, that he put upon me, because he wants to grift. I don't know what you want to call it, but he goes out on Hollywood Boulevard with a sign with my name on it as a former Scientologist. The very people that he is out there protesting for to save former Scientologist here, right? I don't count. So that's his grift. That's his grift. So he and Laura don't care, about me as a former Scientologist, but they claim to care about other former Scientologists or other people in Scientology. So, all right. So that was, I forget who that was that brought that up. So, and we can talk more about the search thing, but that is the background of what they call child trafficking. They also think that when Scientologists get moved around in buses and vans, that's trafficking as well, which I find hysterical. The Scientologists, especially the Sea Org members in Los Angeles, have a very detailed plan and system. That's one of the things that Scientology does, is it and I always go back to Tom Cruise, because you can see him as an example of the teachings of Scientology: organization, self-reflection, clearing the mind, they call it, right? Quick to make decisions. They're very much about moving quickly. You'll see, like, in some of the anti-Scientology, if they weren't really out there, because when the Scientologists know that these protesters are out there, they avoid these people. They don't want to be around these protesters, so they avoid them. But like on a normal day, if you were there and you were sitting on L. Ron Hubbard Boulevard during sort of these changeover times, people move very quickly. They have places to go. They have things to do. Which reminds me, one of the things that the protesters and found all those tunnels under the road. We have them too. It's called sewage. Actually, Mater, they are personnel tunnels that aren't being used anymore. Nora spent time at that AOLA, it's called. And those tunnels have been there since that building was an old hospital in Los Angeles. And those tunnels were used for moving people to other wings of the building. And so that's not a new find. Those have been there. They hadn't really been used. And according to Nora, they've been shut down. And she said she used to play in them when she was a kid. They used to go down there. We used to, the Ambassador Hotel where Kennedy Jr. was shot, or Robert Kennedy was shot, assassinated in the kitchen. The Ambassador Hotel at the time when we would shoot there had lots of tunnels underneath it. The tunnels would take you to the some of the casitas, the little hotel cabins that were on the property outside of the hotel, the edge of the hotel. There's also the Chateau Marmont in Hollywood. Surely I do not need saving, not from Scientology. See, the thing is, Shirley, was funny. Like, the phone calls don't bother me. They can send me all the junk mail they want. None of that. Like, I don't see that as a threat. Some people think that that's a threat, but those very same people think that being made to do chores as a child, as a young adult, is a bad thing. So I don't know. Like, I guess we all have different levels of what affects us, right? we all have our different triggers. So yeah, there's tunnels everywhere. The Getty Mansion. Yeah. So yeah, there's that. What else? Here, let's watch this together. This will be fun. Yeah, we'll watch this because you'll get my point here in a second. So I like to personally go in and challenge, and this is where I was going with this before I got a little sidetracked with chat, is that, I watch these anti-Scientology protesters, and you're free to protest whatever you want to, right? But what these people do, I think personally, is borderline just straight up harassment, especially when they were at La Poubelle. That really for me was a trigger, because the people at La Poubelle have no clue what these people are carrying on about. And they make this false equivalency, the protesters. And we've seen them do this with so many things. That they would stand out in front of the La Poubelle restaurant. And this is where, according to the court, and I don't want to say things that aren't true because I don't really know. I didn't watch any of the Danny Masterson trial. I don't know if it was televised. I don't even think it was televised. And I don't actually trust the media and their reporting of the case. Because remember, this Danny Masterson case came out in the Me Too movement, right? When everybody was extremely sensitive. And, these 20-year later assault cases, I'll call it, were coming about. And so this was part of that. And the claim is that Danny Masterson had drugged a girl or the two girls that he took back to his house. He had drugged them at La Poubelle. So it doesn't, to me, seem so far out there that anybody would have known that at La Poubelle or any other drinking, eating establishment in Los Angeles, because this is not a new thing. We've heard stories about women getting drugged for years, and women learned of this and started protecting themselves and doing things like, I never understood like the napkin on top of the glass, because like, how would you know? Like, don't leave your glass. It's the only way you can't know. But even then, these horrific men who would do something like that to a woman are going to attempt it and be sly about it and hide what they're doing. So you just have to know who you're with and who you're around. And I know that it's not that simple either, because I think people that we trust in our lives potentially are threats as well. But that threat gets decreased, right? The better we know someone, hopefully. So, but anyway, Laura was Masterson's wingman. She said so herself. Yes, doxing grandma. I heard her say that as well on one of the live streams, which I find interesting too. Like, if you're about transparency. No, Robert, you're more than welcome to be here. You have not been blocked. We see you. You're welcome to be here. As long as you remain an adult. We're having adult conversations. If you want to be a part of that, Robert, you're more than welcome. See, Bullets and Barbecue says hi to you. The more drunk she gets, the better I look. That is true. That is true. Everybody looks better with some alcohol. But you know, consent is times change. Consent is different. Consent is so much different now than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You just, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't go both ways. Not that it needs to, honestly, but that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, so they had gone out there, and for those of you who have been watching that drama unfold, you have seen it. I'll tell you, Zero Dark Tony, it is what it is. But we're going to see real ugliness come out here. Watch. I want you guys to see this, because I jumped in Scott's chat when he brought up my friend Sparrow. And we're going to try to get to it.
For anybody's
quick.
wife or husband.
I don't know.
His wife messaged me.
Let's see. I have to bounce through this here.
Who you spoke to? Scientologist. Nasty ass bitch.
You fucking
Laura and Serge literally talked. Illegal search. The indictment was wrong from the get-go. They said he breached the school building, which was a complete fabrication and a lie. He was allowed into the school.
So he's talking about Taylor Toronto. And I'm going to go off on another tangent here because I'm sure he's listening. And frankly, Scott, you're more than welcome. I believe, the link is still pinned at the top. You're more than welcome to come up here on camera and defend yourself. Unlike the opportunity that I've been given with you, you're more than welcome to come up here and defend yourself. You're more than welcome in the chat. I went through and made sure that everybody was unblocked. I was E-blocked, CNA, punched. Don't people know how to E-fight? Okay, so Robert, we're not going to have any violence in here. If you're not going to be an adult, you're going to be removed. Last and final warning. You're not blocked. We all see you. Probably just ignoring you. That's what I would do. But anyway, this is my stream and I can't ignore you. So, but anyway, so Scott, you're more than welcome to join me. The link is in the pinned comment there. Come on up. So, Point Blank uses Wizzy for a monetary grift. Yes, he does. And it came up in another chat and it dawned on me because his chat's convinced that he was a live streamer during the People's Convoy. And Scott was not live streaming. Scott might have done a stream here and there, but he did talk about this on one of his live streams just in the last week or two, about the fact that he was in Arizona at the time COVID was going on, and he couldn't use showers. His life was sort of turned upside down, living in a van in the Arizona desert, that he heard about the convoy and he joined up with the convoy in Arizona. That was day 2 at American Pizza in Arizona. That was the first stop out of Los Angeles, or out of California, was the pizza spot, and opened up in the morning. That's when Fox News left. That's when the war in Ukraine broke out, and all the mainstream media that was following the convoy at that moment all took off. And Scott joined in and basically had free gasoline, showers, food. He was living the life. And what he would do is he would drive ahead of the convoy. He wouldn't even stay in the convoy. He wouldn't travel with the convoy. He wasn't there for the convoy. He was there for the free stuff. He knew where the stop was. He would get to the stop. And what he would do is he would record a time lapse of the trucks and vehicles entering into that stop. And that's what he was doing. Up until we got to Hagerstown. Scott thought he heard something about, he played me the recording I can see where he thought, what was his name? 'Cause I've heard the other name so many times. The outlaw, drove the Rat Rod. He overheard Rat Rod talking about something, what I would call a rupar. Rat Rod was one of those, I'll say, curious people, for lack of better wording. He was on my radar. He was on a lot of people's radars because he was using TikTok at the time and filming these shorts, which were not a good look for a patriot convoy. Insightful, maybe. Not that type of incitement, but incitement of violence, right? Anyway, what Scott thinks he heard, scared him, and he left Hagerstown in a rush. That's how I ended up with his patch and his shitty. Scott never changes. Scott has had some really shitty equipment that he would use to live stream because he literally breaks everything. And this is no joke. Like, everything Scott has is broken. Continues to break things. He can't have anything nice. It's just something I've noticed about him. I'm not busting his balls, a little bit. But it looked like a music stand, but it had a really weird, actually it wasn't a music, it was a beauty ring light that had been, he wrapped it with fur, and it had this plastic protector that had a 8x10 piece of paper in it with some journalist. And I don't remember who the journalist was, but it was like his picture, and it said the media is the enemy. You know, remember, he drove around. He had a different Astrovan when he first started. And as I'm saying this, I'm having to think about it. Like, I didn't see the fire. I don't know how it started, but apparently his van burned to the ground or caught on fire, blew up. I don't know. Something destroyed the original Astrovan. And either the people of the convoy got together, they found him another van, got him another van. That was the van that he had. I would say I don't know how long he had the previous Astrovan, but the one that we all know that got in a wreck when he was driving on what turns out to be the shoulder and not paying attention and almost destroyed him. I think it was in New Mexico, and had a yard sale all over the freeway. That's the van that the convoy bought him, the way I understand it. And I don't know if that's totally true, but there's like he was gifted that new van after his was destroyed during the convoy. And so I see you. What's going on? Doxyram, yes, Doorknocker, DC dragging feet. Guy Reffitt is on his way to DC tomorrow. He's been released. Interesting. Okay. I did find it interesting that anybody that was close that got released was going into DC to await the others being released. It's an interesting moment. Good for them. And so anyway, so that was the van that got back. And then Scott so this, I was all getting back to that. Scott left in a panic over this. And when I heard about it, I reached out to him because I had his phone number. We weren't friends, we weren't close, but we were getting to know each other as two new people, you know, in this convoy adventure with cameras, right? So I had a way to communicate with Scott, and you know, everybody's looking out for each other, right? And so when I heard Scott had left in an uproar, I reached out to him, and he told me what happened, and I go, okay. So through documenting what was going on and learning about the threats to the convoy and whatnot, that's how I got to know what I thought was the head of security. Because early on as we travel, and this is going to be a long-winded story, so cut me off if you need to, but through the travels of the convoy, I realized that there was a couple different groups doing security. You had the convoy leadership security, and then you would have a group of people doing security at each one of the locations that they stopped, because you had the moving convoy, right, going from A to B every day, and then you had this advanced team or people in those cities that they would stop in for night, you know, for night, that would have stages set up and food ready and, you know, stuff planned. They also did security in those areas. So, but then you had, what was his name? White something or another. White Horse, I can't remember what everybody called him. But he was traveling with the convoy, and he was either running I think he would run in the back with the convoy, and he had a pickup truck with all lights on it. White Lightning, thank you. Otis, I appreciate that. It was like, we haven't talked about this stuff in so long. I forget some of the details. It's there. I just forget some of the details. White Lightning was the weirdest motherfucker ever, and intense. And early on, I learned that he was getting paid with gift cards to do security, which I thought was weird, but okay. That's because the convoy was getting donations and whatnot from people, and they were handing out gift cards. And that was when I learned that White Lightning was getting gift cards for whatever to do security. Why they were getting paid to do security, doesn't matter. But anyway, he was getting a little something for his time of, you know, stepping out and beyond, whatever, to do security. But anyway, but he wasn't the head of security. But that's the security team that probably more aligned with Rat Rod and the outlaws, the group of outlaws that were there that had their own little camp, and they were outlaws in every way. They were having a good time. They were partying. They're, you know, they had guns. They, you know, that was the outlaw crew, and that they were within the convoy itself. And then the other security was a paid, trained, proper security team of, I would see sheriffs. I'm trying to think of all the different, like, because they had either a Virginia sheriff's car. They would be off duty, and they'd be at the speedway in this Ford SUV, right? And that was, they were retired sheriffs or off-duty sheriffs, different types of people, but they were a paid security force to watch out for the actual convoy leadership and the convoy itself. And, you know, the head person, the representative rode with in the van, the big bus, with them, for communications, because of the threats they were getting. Right. And so, when Scott had his moment, oh yeah, yeah, I think they still call it the casting couch, but yeah, yeah. What's the term I'm looking for? Sex is a currency, right? Always has been. It is what it is. And there's those people that will accept that kind of currency. So, not everybody, you know. So when Scott had this audio that he thought, you know, these guys were going to rob the convoy, and he went to security, and security, who's buddies with the outlaws, they scared him off. And so when I talked to Scott, I'm like, yeah, you know, this is a little weird. I'm going to go talk to this guy that's head of security. And I had met him because I was being a journalist, acting like a journalist, and trying to understand how security was working, because I was seeing so many different types of security. There was compound, or, you know, camp security, and then there was these other guys who were way more formal. So when I went to the guy who was way more formal, which was part of, and I don't know what their company is, but I knew that they were hired by the coordinators, the event team. When I went to him and I took the audio, he was concerned about what was being said and what was being done. And I got back to Scott and I said, hey, you know, you're good to come back. You're good. If you want to be here and be in this group, I can tell you without a doubt that I've talked to security and they're looking into it. And as far as I go, you shouldn't have any reason to be scared. So if you want to come back, come back. He never came back. And it was, I don't know, maybe a month later, he starts going on live stream, making claims that I had something to do with all of this, and that I was involved, and that because I talked to security that I must have been. It was complete nonsense. But anyway, that's where this saga, this story goes back to with Scott. And even like a year and a half after, when he came through Hagerstown and he and I sat down and had a meal, broke bread together, and I looked him in the eye and answered his questions and was like, look, man, you know me. You know, this is all bullshit. Why don't you stop this? He then went out to California. He went to Florida first, but then he goes out to California and continues on with this nonsense about me and Scientology. And so that is what has brought us here. But you're going to see here, he's talking about Taylor Toronto in this video, and he's going to mention my friend Sparrow. So I had to pipe up. Cool. And you won't be able to see that.
They rented the gymnasium. He never made any threats. Raskin, who you spoke to, which is crazy. You literally, Laura and Serge literally talked to Raskin for half an hour, and Taylor's in jail for allegedly making threats against him. All right, Wizzy, fucking loser.
So I had made a comment that Sparrow didn't need a pardon because him nor I were in any legal trouble or convicted of any crimes with J6. We didn't do anything, and we were there as journalists covering it. So I piped up and said, you know, you're making a statement about Sparrow that's not true, because he's been advocating for Sparrow's arrest about J6 because he was there documenting and covering it like any other journalist would. So this is the reaction. This is their reaction to my comment in their chat.
I should have banned you yesterday.
Fucking Scientologist. Nasty ass bitch.
You fucking liar. You fucking keep lying, saying that me and Serge, you're so fucking stupid. You are fucked in the head, you dumb fuck.
You're fucked in the head with.
We've talked about the Serge claim. It's only one of the claims that Serge makes. But when I specifically ask about those details, they ban me in all of their chats. And she, as far as I can tell, is probably upset because she knows that I'm right. And that the claim that he's making and that all of these protesters make. Because remember, Lara FM, Sarge, Nora. I'm really trying to give you the ones that are out on the street. Because I don't think Nora really goes out on the street. Aaron, he goes out on the street occasionally. He's a former Scientologist. Like, you can tell which ones are the former Scientologists. They're typically more articulate. They have what you would call better TRs. They're more like Tom Cruise. They're typically brighter in appearance, sort of more wide-eyed, bushy tail, higher tone energy. That's all sort of Scientology training. But then you got Scott, and you've got the Dannies and the whole host of it. I keep finding more and more. I can identify those who have experience in Scientology and those who don't. Like, it doesn't take much. And I'll always ask, hey, were you a Scientologist? One of my favorites, there was Poe on the Go. Poe on the Go had no Scientology whatsoever. He's now no longer doing that. He loves to say that Wizzy, Sparrow, Rooster, and Lee Dundas are in a big conspiracy, plus Jack from some geolocating service. Yeah, he's been fed some really bad information in his chat and people emailing him. And I don't know if that has something to do with why. I think he takes data and he absorbs what he feels like means something to him. He doesn't actually research it or understand it. But he thinks Jack. And for any of you who know, what was his name? GOP 898 or whatever, 88, GOP something, who was funneling just a ton of money to Scott, who then Scott turned around and backstabbed. Jack never donated that much money to me. Jack was like any other person who donated to my live stream. There were way more people that donated a lot more money. What I would call larger donors, bigger supporters. Jack was a good supporter. And everybody who supported my live stream through the Convoy and whatnot, always highly I couldn't thank everybody enough, right? Kept me out on the road, covering expenses. GOP 86, thank you, ACAB, or ACB. But yeah, so and Lee Dundas, the fun thing about Lee Dundas, and it's part of the reason. So I had the OG haters, the LA leftist activists who were on my shit ever since I started live streaming their protests and showing. Within that activist protest community, some of you may know Vishal. Vishal was one of the main reasons why I went and started following the convoy and live streaming. But within that activist community, you have a core group of journalists, propagandists. Eric Levi is one of them, Vishal, a whole host of others that would be at all of these same protests, and they would hide from everyone. Because what ended up happening is like, and Vishal only got used a couple times. There were other sort of larger accounts that then the mainstream media would pick up from these protests and use their account of what happened at these left-wing riots. And then they're making claims that, it was the police that are the violent ones that start, attacking protesters, right? We hear that, like, which isn't a thing when it comes to the Capitol. So very different. The cops couldn't have done that one, right? I guess you'd have to be there to sort of see the difference and see how it happens. I've been there. I've been right up in front when these protesters start attacking the police. And then I've also been around during DC, and I've seen the video where, the protesters are getting shot at by the police in the face with, these impact rounds that go through their cheeks, right? So you got it both ways. But so you have the propaganda media, and simultaneously why they were attacking this group of people that were going to convoy to DC. One of the attacks that they had was attacking Lee Dundas. So that's where I first learned about Lee Dundas, and I had to go in and I had to do a little bit of research. Pam Bondi is the latest attack from Scott. And his claim is that she took money from Scientology, which, I don't know, appears to be the case. I don't know how that really has any effect, because people take money from all kinds of places. Scientology also is like any other group of people that are going to donate money where their interest lies. Now, last I looked, and the last time I was in Scientology, they are not left-wing Democrats. That is for sure about Scientology. They would definitely lean in the more conservative, the Christian side of the political aisle, right? And so I get it. He's been after this connection between, he thinks, because of Scientology, myself and Lee Dundas, we must be best pals, right? Lee Dundas was kicked out of the convoy, the People's Convoy, because she was using convoy money to pay for her hotel rooms when the rest of the leadership was paying their own way. And Brian Brazzi told me directly when it happened that was the reason she was removed right after the Indianapolis. Indianapolis. We have a guest coming up. Here's Kim. They will need to connect their mic. Oh, Kim, you need to connect your mic in Cam. Oh, Kim gone. Okay, work on that, Kim. You're welcome to come back. So did RFK. Yes. Yes. Scientology donates to a lot of people. It doesn't make people Scientologists. The mayor of LA also got up and spoke in front of Scientology. It doesn't mean anything, right? But they want you to believe that it has some sort of effect and some sort of connection to that. There are more things that Scientology does for the community that are good than what these protesters claim are bad. They also have zero evidence of their claims and cannot show any evidence of their claims either. So you got to weigh this stuff out, gang. And Tony is one of those people who has been attacked because he called them out for their harassment of people on the street, their attacks of people, and their use of a minor, a young adult. Just so we have our definitions correct, if you are not 18, you are a minor. So a child, if you refer to a child and try to make it sound awful, your head goes to, oh, young child, 3, 4, 5. No, 17 is technically a child, but that's what this young person, this young man was, technically a child. But a 17-year-old minor who was out on the streets of LA harassing people, starting fights, not free speech. And Tony called it out. For that, they have been going after Tony using the legal system and trying to sue him into oblivion. They did that with the owner, Francois Costner of La Poubelle. They raked her over the coals for legal fees and $185,000, last number I heard. That was a man by the William Good is his name. And he used lawfare, like I've seen other left-wing activists do, to take down their opponents, claiming, what is that called? They use this legal action that was designed to stop companies from silencing dissent. It's called it starts with an S. Come on, Tony, help me out here. SLAP. Thank you, Otis. A SLAP lawsuit, a SLAP suit. They then claim to be journalists, and they sue Francois Costner, the owner of the restaurant, where these people have been hanging out, harassing, and trying to shut down her restaurant because of false allegations and making it impossible for her to do business. They then turn around and sue her because she filed a restraining order against these people within her legal right to stop them from blocking her entrance and yelling at her customers and keeping her customers away. They then turn around and sue her with a slap because they're the media, they're journalists, and that they have a right to stand out there and fuck with people. And guess who won? Well, of course, the left-wing activists. So that's how that works. And now anti-slap, right? SLAPP, anti-slap. They get upset when when you break their narrative with the truth. They do, Wendy. And that's all I've ever done. And any time I've gone into, now their mods all know. And the first question I ask, because me as a person who live streams, I don't like trolls. And the last thing I would do to be a hypocrite is go into their chats and troll them. However, I'm going to ask questions because I have a direct experience, not as much experience as Lara. Lara was in the Sea Org. She grew up in the Sea Org. I personally don't have that kind of experience. And I'm not diminishing her experience. I'm questioning her experience because the things that she says do not make sense from what I've seen on a personal level in Scientology. The Scientologists that I know that have many children because they believe in having a lot of kids. I know many families that have been in Scientology for a long time. What's her name? Leah Remini. Okay. Leah Remini was the first celebrity to speak out about Scientology. She does not make any of these same claims that this group of protesters do. All of these claims stem from two people, Lara FM and Serge. And they get repeated across all of the other live streamers. which Scott now has become the ringleader of. His community. He's not in charge, but he is in charge. He wants to be in charge. He wants to tell them all what to do. But he says his group, not group. Anyway, let's play this because you're going to hear some things that are just flat out lies about me and trying to destroy my character. And for any of you that have seen Scott, he always says on his live stream, I don't get along with Wizzy, but Wizzy's not like the other people. Wizzy doesn't attack family. Wizzy doesn't attack. Yeah, because I'm not that person. I've never been that person to Scott. I've actually been really nice to Scott. He doesn't deserve that, right? But I'm not a troll. I'm just a decent person. I try to be a decent person. And I think that in fact, I would say without a bit of doubt that I have always conducted myself as a gentleman with kindness. I am going to push back when you attack me and you come after me. I'm going to push back, but I'm going to push back fairly and with kindness. Always have, always will. And I will always fight for the truth. I did that with, some of you might remember Alyssa and the lies and the claims that were made about her and Mix that were in the van in Berkeley Springs when these activists claimed that I hunted her down, I chased her down, which is complete bullshit. I continued the story and I showed everyone, and it pissed them off, that these two were connected. They claimed and told the police they were not, and they had nothing to do with each other. And I proved that Mix, who stayed in the van, when they left, went to pick up Alyssa, who had walked down the street, because Alyssa didn't want to get in the van and show everybody that they were a team. They also had gone out to disrupt and take away the free speech rights and the free right to gather legally away from people that they disagreed with. So, as it turns out, in the end, the reason they're all mad at me is because I showed the truth. And when they claim that Chad always wins, it's because they know they have been shown the wrong. That is correct, Reenactment with Dolls. You are wrong. And if you have any disagreement, you are welcome to come up on panel and voice your belief. And we will have an adult discussion. If you have it in you, we will have an adult discussion. I don't think you can have that adult discussion, Dolls. But you're welcome to be here as long as you're going to stay an adult. Strategic lawsuit against public participation. Tony, you're welcome to join me. I'm happy to have you on. Tony, notice that none of these people, none of these streamers, Scott, Lara, none of them will ever come up here. They never hit the link. They will never face me. They're given opportunity time and time again. Mina, she is not going to come up here. She's going to talk shit, tell lies, and act like a child. Her and Taylor Jennings and Freddie, we haven't even gotten to that part. Like, you wind me up, you get me going. I got a lot to show you, but we go down these rabbit holes because I don't spend the time to break this down and show you these clips. It doesn't work. I can't do it. I refuse to waste my life dealing with people like this. But these are the people that made Trump a winner. I gotta say it that way because That's what it looks like. You know, the consequences of the actions of people like this. Otis, I'm sorry. We cannot do that. This is not okay, right? Am I behind there? It's funny because my chats are showing two different things, and I don't see any adjustment to the YouTube chat. Oh. Huh. Well, I'm glad I don't see that there. Otis, you make another comment like that? I don't care who it is. Don't do that. Don't do that. Snakes on a plane, free speech is good, you know. But again, if you can't be an adult, I cannot deal with you. Oh, did I delete the wrong one? Okay, Linda Lou. I must have. Reenactment with dolls. There's no phone number involved. You click the link up there and you come through. You can put whatever name you want up there. There's no phone number involved. Please don't be that technologically inept. You have a voice. You're an adult woman. You're a grown woman playing with dolls, spreading nonsense. Come up and defend yourself. Be an adult. I can set aside all the nonsense and all the bullshit you've put people through. I know you support Scott. I don't know why. You should know by now he is not a decent person. He's not a good person in any way. So what's the problem? Why are you going to go after the person who is, I guess, being an activist and standing up to the nonsense of these people? So I don't know why you would think that there's a phone number. There's no phone number. It's a link. I don't even make you use your real YouTube account, which we all know what your YouTube account is anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You can literally click on the screen and see your link directly to your page. That is the one change I wish YouTube would make. I wish that they would make it so that if you're in a chat, you can click on somebody's name and have it take you to their channel, see their content. YouTube won't let you do that for some reason unless you're a moderator. Moderators can click on anybody's name. You can see all the comments that they've made historically on the different streams, their interactions. Really cool. You cannot do that unless you're a moderator. Anyway, so hey, let's get back to phone line was 3 years ago. Yeah, door knocker in with the kill shot. Oh, here we go. Here's ZDT. ZDT, you're on your motorcycle, man. Okay, 1 second. Very. ZDT rides around.
Hey, now you got me.
Oh, that's much better. Now, once it kicked over onto the Bluetooth, it helps get rid of the motorcycle noise. Which, by the way, I love the motorcycle noise. Now. I'm a Ducati fan. My first motorcycle was a Monster, and
perfect.
I used to ride around on that thing in LA. I had a blast. So I'm there with you. We're like sort of brothers from another mother in some way. I can't be as salacious. I can't, that's
know.
not me, ZDT. You know that.
I mind my manners when I'm on other people's shows.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You're not going to come in here telling like anti-Semitic jokes. I get it. You know.
No. I'm 13% Jewish, actually.
Well, you know, I it's actually a callback from another show, another stream.
Yes. I'm anti everything, according to some people.
I know you've been accused of a whole lot of things, but I'll tell you the one thing I've never done is I've never had a live stream conversation on my motorcycle, but I did enjoy talking hands-free on the motorcycle occasionally. Do you listen to music?
Great. Oh yeah, everything.
Yeah,
I was listening to you.
Yeah. That's funny. I loved riding the canyons on, you know, with the music going, and it was so like it wasn't Top Gun. What was that movie where the kid listened to the cassette player on his leg with Lou Gossett Jr., not Starman.
Oh man, he's in the little plane.
No, his dad was a fighter pilot, and something happens. He gets shot down, and he's behind enemy lines. And Lou Gossett Jr. and this kid who's not trained as a Air Force pilot, but can fly like his dad.
Bat 2-1, something like that.
No,
like
not
Bat
Bat 2-1. That's a different movie. Come, Iron Eagle. Thank you very much.
Iron
Maggie.
Eagle. There we go.
Iron Eagle.
There we go.
It's the Iron Eagle factor with the motorcycle and the music. That was always
nothing like a little Lou Gossett Jr.
Yeah, I know. It's got to be tough. The vertical stream on the motorcycle. Like, I know what you're doing. You
get used to it.
Did you see on social media? I don't know how much time you spent on X, but I don't know who the live streamer is. He was in DC and he got swatted. Have you seen that clip?
No, just like a random guy, or
well, no.
Does he have an audience?
I didn't recognize. I don't know who the streamer is, but he was live. He has a cameraman who's doing whatever, and Capitol Police come up right on top of him, grab his arms, and cuff him instantly. And he doesn't freak out. How he handles it, actually, a masterclass that some people should watch.
Right.
But I was fascinated by the fact that this isn't one person who's getting. This is a thing that's been going on for a long time, and I doubt Scientology swatted this streamer.
Yeah, I mean, Ice Poseidon is a perfect example, man. He's been swatted over 500 times. You know.
This is not new to Scott.
No.
Right? Scott's drawn
and
somebody's
also
attention.
when you call the police, like here's the thing. They say on September 14th, I swatted them because I'm the copycat swatter. I called the highway patrol. I gave my name. I emailed like that's not a swatting. Swatting is an anonymous. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, that's what blows my mind. Like, Scott's not dumb, but he acts like a complete imbecile, and he overlooks the obvious.
Right.
So many ways.
Oh,
but I
hell
noticed lately he's been on this thing where it's like, not everything is COS or OSA. Not everything's OSA, you know. And it's like, oh, what happened that all of a sudden you're not blaming, you know, the Scientologists for everything that happens to him?
Right. Well, I mean, I think he's also getting into a really heavy area of all kinds of defamation and slander against an established religious organization, you know, so there's a lot that's going on with not just the swatting but you know, there was a letter that was released. I don't know if you saw it on Audit LA's channel. Someone had turned me on to it. And by the way, Audit LA came into my chat and was actually quite nice on the fire times and the heavy fires.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. So she came in and she was quite cordial. But you see this letter you know, that the church has written to someone who's part of the council, some kind of city council, something.
Okay.
So they've written this letter saying, "Hey, look, we've contacted the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, all these different organizations that they're making reports on these guys, and they're gathering up a really big case. What they're doing is not okay. It's not free speech. It's purely harassment of a religious organization and individuals.
Right.
I mean, it is obstruction of justice. There are so many stupid things that these people are doing, and they think just because they're getting away with it for now that they can act with impunity.
Right. Well, Scott wouldn't know that he has those 8 cases unless he went in there and forced them to tell him, right? You know.
Well, he was going in there trying to find cases on me.
Right.
And it backfired, and they showed 6 for him.
Right.
But now they obviously have gone and they had their attorney probably pressure the city attorney to put a bunch of misdemeanors out, that they're never going to prove.
Right.
Right? They're for like child endangerment and stalking, dude. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Right.
God is endangering children.
Right. And equally, like, the claims about you that they've made, there's 2, 3, 4 times as much evidence in their own videos of their live streams showing what was happening on the streets, them harassing people, that they must know that, right?
Well, I mean, I can't discuss the details of my case,
but
my
point is, I'm letting the
that,
audience know that this is going on and that,
Yeah. So even with this case, because the case that I have is I have filed an RO against Solomon and his mother.
Sure.
So
as very much you should.
Yeah, and the case that we're talking about now, we have almost 50 hours of video. Now, of course, we're picking out pieces of it, but you're right. It is by their own hand that they have shown all the evidence against them.
Yeah. I've literally been watching it. Before you even came on the scene, before I even knew what a ZDT was.
Right.
And then you literally created more work for me, having to fucking look back and who is this guy? Where did he come from? And how did he become a part of it? It's the Venn diagram of stream communities, right?
Yep.
And here's ZDT in the middle of like 2 big loops.
Yep.
So it's like, but you were there for the same reason anybody else was, watching this happening, going, how is this allowed to continue in the city?
Right.
But LA and LAPD are so afraid of protesters. And I documented this while I was out there following these protesters well before Scott and everything else. The city is afraid of these people. And I don't know why. Well, I know why. I say that facetiously. There is no reason they should be afraid of these people. They should put an end to it immediately.
I agree.
So,
I think really what they're trying to do is they're trying to build, my opinion, right? My opinion, just because I've spoken with some of the investigators, and again, without giving away any of their details, my guess is that they're building something much bigger because they want multiple felonies. They want to really be able to wrap these people up, and I think it like many cases, we've seen some cases with really big results that have been ongoing for 2, 3, up to 5 years, right? Just to gather evidence and to let them do it, let them commit the crime. So
I'm going to give it to you in a different frame, and I'm going to give it to the audience in a different frame, because the thing that Scott doesn't realize and is too unaware to really consider is the contribution to the city of Los Angeles that Scientology makes, whether you like them or not. They have done more for Hollywood Boulevard, cleaning it up. They have done more for Sunset Boulevard, cleaning it up, and the amount of money that they spend and taking care of the properties. These were all abandoned buildings, right? And Scott has done nothing for the city since he got there, but helped destroy it.
And he's done nothing for any kids.
A mess. So yes, he's not going to win that battle. And constitutionally, he has no right to win that battle, because they have every right, whether we like them or not, they have every right to exist. So no one's going to shut them down.
just like any church, any Sikh, any Jew, any Muslim. Yes. Sorry, we're cutting out a little.
Yeah. No, yeah. Yeah. We would shut down a number of religions if it was legal. But it's not up to us to decide.
Hold on.
Yeah. And so
there we go.
As I'm talking to the audience, I make that decision myself by leaving Scientology 10 years ago, not wanting to be a part of that anymore. We can have that discussion as to why, but it wasn't for any of these reasons. I was honestly just bitter about the outcome of certain things and didn't want to be there anymore. Honestly, I think Scientology did a lot of good things for me. It's a technology that helps people, just like going to a shrink and working through your problems. You may not want to hear that. You may not like to hear that, but that's what it is. I did better in life doing some Scientology. I was better at work. I did a better job. I made better decisions. I worked better. So there's a lot of things. May not be your thing, whatever. But those people who don't actually know firsthand anything about Scientology and are told what to believe, they're the fools. They are the fools for believing what somebody else tells you without documenting, showing evidence. Some things in life are just weird. You know what I mean? You have to, like conspiracy theories, you know, flat earthers who go, oh, the whole planet's starting to see. Wait. Okay. You have to set aside things. They have, you can discredit anything. I don't need to see for myself what certain things are because I know they're just bad, right? There's obvious things. Curiosity is an interesting fact. So, oh, ZDT's back. I got to add you to the stage. There he is. He's back. He's back.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Went through a weird area.
No, I get it. Yeah, you're riding around in LA. It happens.
Yeah.
Get you one of those Wi-Fi antennas. I got one on the truck. It works amazing. I don't know where you put it on a bike though.
plenty of spots.
Yeah, I know.
I won't tell you where I think first of putting it.
Yeah, it's.
We're going PG-13 today. So yeah, you cut off a little bit in that last maybe 90 seconds.
Yeah.
What were we saying?
No, we were just talking about same thing, you know, Scientology and their right to exist, and
right.
Scott doesn't like it, and people don't like it. That's Scott's right to show up for your rights. Scott says that's right. Stand up for your rights. Yes.
Now, you know, right. Speaking of that, I mean, them making this claim that I am an active paid Scientologist somehow. I'm some paid goblin agent.
Right.
You know.
Well, that's their way of dismissing everything you say.
Right. Right.
It's like being called a Trump supporter because you disagree with somebody who clearly doesn't support Trump.
Right.
You know,
but
there couldn't be any other option. You don't have a mind of your own, Tony.
The only involvement I had was that I went and I paid for a few courses that I never finished. You know what I mean? So that's about it. It's just that I'm not into organizations. That's just me. It's not for me.
Right. It's easy to get pulled in out of curiosity.
Sure.
The sales pitch is solid. And Tony, they're all good people. You'll never meet a bad Scientologist. Now you've got the Danny Mastersons, but I don't think that was as much Scientology as it was just Danny being a celebrity, right? And I don't even really know what happened with Danny, but it's always these celebrities that have some sort of power, right? And everybody wants, like, he was a cool dude in the 70s show, right? I can see why women surrounded themselves.
Sure.
But, like, I also don't understand how women wouldn't know that they're putting themselves in that situation because they're, you know, going after some celebrity.
Well, I mean, so Lara, wasn't Lara his wingman?
Weigh that out.
Wasn't Lara his wingman? She would know.
Yeah, yes, she was. Yes, he had, you know, the same effect on her. Because he was a celebrity Scientologist, they all want to hang out with the Scientology celebrity, right?
Right.
So yeah, I don't know that we'll ever really know the truth about that either. But also too is she stayed in Scientology so long. Why? That's the other thing I don't get. Like, as soon as I decided I didn't want to be a Scientologist, I just left.
Right.
Go away. You know, you're not locked in some compound where we've heard that story about the guy that was locked in the compound. Him and his wife had to escape. That's a different story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Laura
was dragged over rocks. I'm sorry. What?
I'm not diminishing that. I also see the temper tantrums she has, and I also like Tony. I've known a lot of people. I say a lot, more than most people, that have been in Scientology for a very long time, right? They're not like Laura. Laura is definitely a special character, but I also don't know, because she won't tell me, like, what level of Scientologist was she? How far did she go up the org chart? You know,
I see.
Right? Like, so I can't get a sense of like where her tone level should be. She seems very uptone, but she also seems very angry. So she's holding on to a lot of things. So I know she's not clear.
Right.
Right? Because if she was
she's
clear,
not
like
stable. Yeah.
she's unstable. Scientologists are not unstable.
Right.
Real Scientologists have their shit together.
Right. I met Janet. I met Janet Weiland at the Northeast Police Station.
Okay.
You know, I met her over there. She was lovely to my mom.
And I should know who she is, but I don't.
I don't know what she does.
Yeah.
But her name is Janet Weiland, like Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots. That's the only reason I remember her last name.
I got you.
So, you know, she was there, and what they were doing, it was around Christmas, they were bringing a bunch of toys for the kids.
Oh.
That's what they were. That's what she was doing there.
They do a lot of community support.
Yeah.
You know, William Good recently tried to claim that they were stealing supplies. And showed no evidence whatsoever other than a photograph that Scientologists were out helping people.
Right.
That's what they showed in a photograph.
I mean, the fucking shit.
Yeah.
Ridiculous allegations. I don't even know where they get some of these from, or what table these are drawn up. I can only guess. But
Tony, I was with a Scientologist one day. We were going through Hollywood. Actually, we were over by the Beverly Center, on the corner of Beverly and forget what that is there.
La Cienega?
Beverly La Cienega right there. And in that intersection, a guy on a scooter, not a moped, right? On a scooter, had gotten in an accident, was on the ground. The Scientologist that I was with practically jumped out of the car to go help this guy as I was driving down La Cienega. I was like, stop, you can't, no, I have to get out. And I get the car stopped. They want to get out and run across traffic and do an assist on this guy to try to help this person.
Right.
Those are the Scientologists that I know. Right? That's my experience in Scientology. Like, they're the first one to jump out of the car and help somebody.
How is it that they're there 24/7 and they've got no pictures of any kids other than at the events? No kids going in and out of those buildings. Maybe to use a restroom during the events or something. I don't know.
Yeah. See, like, over at those buildings when I was there, I never saw that many kids. There's not that many kids in that level of Scientology. Right?
I was only at Celebrity Center. I was never anywhere else.
Right. I started and spent most of my time at Celebrity Center. And there were kids that were up in, because it's the beginning levels of Scientology, that were in those classrooms, they call them, that are with their twins and doing their TRs, right? Their basics. And they're I don't know, I'm trying to think back, like, they're not toddlers, right? They're like young adults. They're I can't judge kids' ages, but like they're speaking, they're reading, because you have to be able to read, right? Because that's Scientology training, is you do a lot of reading. That's what they never talk about in these protests. So you got to be able to read. You have to be able to comprehend. You have to be able to prove that you understand what it is you're reading and what it is you're doing. And then you can start to work your way up the bridge. So to say that a 12-year-old is auditing you is absurd to me, because I was 40 at the time, and I couldn't audit somebody because I didn't have the training. So it's not like the things they say don't add up, because I've been there. And that's why I question them as to the claims that they're making.
Well, I'd like to hear some of those. I'd like to hear you play some of the things on the tape that she said about you, because I know some of them were pretty fucking ridiculous.
Oh,
so if you want to run some of that while we're here, let's run it.
Back to that. That's here. We'll play it, because it's.
She's ridiculously angry. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was remarkable. It was absolutely remarkable.
Fucking loser, Christopher Brawl.
Literally, like, what are you covering up so much that you have to keep supporting Scientology? You're so disgusting.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
right? How many audits by children did you get?
Yeah, and Wizzy, how many times have you messed around with people or done stuff underage or something that you were covering up, or that you got off in session? You fucking freak.
What was that hand gesture that she made? I know you can't see that, but I don't know what she was alluding to there. None of this is true, or even close to the truth.
I don't believe it when she comes out of her fucking mouth. So it's like, when she says something like that, to me, it's like, how angry is this person that they need to? Well, I mean, you got to understand, Wizzy, this is part of the grift too. You know, this is part of the line, right? So they have a through line and a storyline and the whole arc that they have to make connect.
Right. I was in Scott's chat yesterday on an account that I have that isn't blocked, because Scott has this account blocked, my WYSIWYG 742 blocked. And even though he had somebody with the same, fake account in there that was making some wacky statements that he could have checked, he never bothered, because he doesn't remember that I was blocked, or he doesn't know because of mod, whatever. So he thought he was talking to me one day. But yesterday, I was in there as WYSIWYG TV, and addressing his claims directly. I should have done a screen recording of it. Actually, I might have, now that I think about it. But when somebody in his chat said something about Surge and the child trafficking, and I brought up Surge, that really upset Laura, that I had pushed back on Surge like that. And that's when she blocked me from the chat.
Well, he gives no details. He gives no. Yeah,
there's never any
it's all very vague and ambiguous. Yeah,
right. And his chat eats it up. So when I go in there and I pose questions to them that go against that narrative, they have to get upset with me and block me.
Did he yell at you? Did Surge yell at you?
They yell. They So, it's funny. But when I saw this today, I didn't get back far enough to. They were going after my buddy Sparrow, who's a journalist that was at J6.
Was he the guy? Remember, he said he went after a guy, I think, a while back in Chicago or something. Was that Sparrow?
No, it was in DC.
He was in like Chicago, and I don't know where it was, but was that Sparrow, an Asian guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That was Captain Sparrow.
Oh, okay.
That was my buddy. He was there covering whatever the event was. I'm trying to. It's killing me that I don't know what that event was. But he did that. He gets into
all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, he did that to a bunch of people, stalking them and attacking them. And the funny thing is Sparrow never did anything to him. Sparrow was one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, he does. He just seemed like he stuck to doing his thing. Yeah, he ignored him completely.
Oh, yeah. It's what you have to do with Scott, because there's nothing else you can do, because Scott's just going to run his mouth.
Yeah.
The only time Scott hasn't run his mouth is when he sat down here with me in my town at a restaurant and we had a frank, honest conversation. It's the only time Scott didn't run his mouth. He acted like a civilized person. And it's funny, I refer to my lady as the unicorn. The unicorn told me, don't go, because there's no point. You're too nice to this guy, she says. I go, I can't. It's not in my nature to not try to work out this issue that he has with me, because I'm over it and he's agreed to come. And what happened was he wanted his patch back. That Tony, for the longest time, he goes, WYSIWYG stole my patch. WYSIWYG did this. WYSIWYG's the devil. I had picked up his stuff, like I said in the beginning of the stream, saved it for him because it was getting thrown out. Somebody found it. He had left it behind. They were tossing it in the garbage. They had tossed it in the garbage. And I go, wait, that's Scott. And I towed it around the fucking country back to California, back to DC, and back. It's like, finally, it's like, Scott, I've been trying to give this back to you. I told him I had it. I wanted to give it back to him. And he just keeps saying, WYSIWYG steals my property. WYSIWYG's an asshole. WYSIWYG's
it's like
this.
the cat. It's like Jazzy.
Yeah, no, I know. It's the dumbest shit.
And the socks.
And the socks, like.
Which he was, by the way, wearing on his effing hands the other day.
Oh, those are different socks, though.
Oh, okay.
Those are different socks.
I thought they were the same socks.
No, I am. That's the most curious thing. And here I'm like, rabbit or a squirrel. Why do they have the socks? I cannot figure out why the socks were important, other than
walking in his own jizz and other DNA.
Well,
that's what I thought.
There is that. I didn't really want to say it quite like that, Tony, but I appreciate you helping me out on that one.
I did my best.
Is it documented? I don't know, because I haven't seen this for sure. Is it documented that they actually booked into evidence the socks?
Yes.
Or, it is. Because I'm going to say, they fucking fell out of the shit van.
Yes,
right? Because
they have the
it's
phones
just such
too.
a mess.
Yeah.
Right? But he
now, why would they hang on to his phones? Why would they hang on to his phones for so long, right?
Oh, well, we know why they're doing that. That's an obvious one to me. The fact that he doesn't get that drives me crazy. Right? Because, like, you can't be that dumb to not realize what you're doing. And it's not the police. It's not their fault. The police are doing their job. You're acting a fool. You've broken the law. And eventually, you're going to learn the repercussions of doing that.
Right.
They're not your friends. They're not there to help you.
It's true. All right, let's hear more Lara.
Hear more Lara.
Hear what goes.
All right.
Yeah.
It goes for a moment.
Yep.
Oh, I tapped it. Here you go.
Fucking weirdo.
Wheezy knows exactly what Serge is talking about. What child trafficking, recruiting people into the fucking Sea Org from other countries, signing a billion-year contract.
See, that's where she lies, Tony. That is where she lies. Because every Scientologist will tell you that you can only do certain courses, certain segments of the bridge at certain places. You have to go to Clearwater. You have to go on the boat. You got to go to LA. You have to travel all over the country.
Oh, you can't do the whole thing in one?
No!
Oh, my God.
And she's not going to tell you that because it destroys her narrative.
That's
what drives me so crazy.
Oh, my God. I didn't know that.
All of these little orgs. Like, I was just watching this woman, Spitz or Spats or something is her name. Spaz, I don't know. Spin in Portland, she's in Portland, and she goes out to the org there, and she's protesting. Like, it's a beautiful craftsman style design that they do. They're all different. They all have sort of themes. Do you know they all have an L. Ron Hubbard office at each one of the orgs?
Oh, they do?
They do. They keep it like this weird. It's
even the ones they built after he died? That's wild. Even the ones they built after, that's wild.
Yeah, every org has an LRH office. You know, want to hear something else that's really funny? Walt Disney has the same exact thing for Walt Disney. Not in the same sense, but they have at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, they have an office that is exactly the way Walt would have left it. Sort of funny. Anyway, dumb side note. But yes, so you have to travel in order to move up the bridge. And Scientology will push you to do that, to better yourself, to be a better Scientologist, to help you, you know, expand yourself. You got to move up the bridge. The only way to do that is to go from South America to Los Angeles, where you will go through training, get the training you need, and then go back home, go to Clearwater, go wherever you need to keep going up the bridge. Is that trafficking? I suppose so. If that's the way you want to like create that, you know, belief. But that's what it means to be a Scientologist. And it doesn't take long to learn that. Like you kind of, I didn't know anything about Scientology other than what I had kind of seen on my own outside of Scientology. Because even the person that got me into Scientology couldn't really tell me about it because you're not supposed to as a Scientologist. I'm not supposed to talk about Scientology, but I do because I'm not a Scientologist.
Right.
So it's really a fascinating world that Laura is flat out not being truthful about.
That's crazy, too.
Because if she was truthful, you wouldn't have the heart for her that she wants you to have.
Right.
Because she wants to get back at Scientology. Her father does not want to talk to her clearly. Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Maybe you can answer this question. As a Scientologist, when you started, did you have to disconnect from everybody who wasn't a Scientologist?
No, and nobody ever told me that I had to say that I was one or that I was this or that or anything like that. No one ever said anything like that.
No one ever said told that to me either.
Yeah, no one ever said to me, hey, you are a Scientologist now. You know, no one ever said that because, you know, I'm born Catholic.
Right.
So
do you know how disconnection and why disconnection occurs?
I do not.
Let me enlighten you and the rest of the gang here. Does the term SP mean anything to you?
I just know it means suppressive person.
Right. A suppressive person.
But I've learned that. I learned that from this, seeing them. Nothing that I knew from there. You know?
Right. So a suppressive person is somebody who does not lift you up. They squash you down. They want to destroy you because of jealousy, whatever that may be. Tony, that motorcycle sucks. I don't know why you ride that. That's a fucking suppressive person.
Right.
Would you want to be a suppressive person? I don't want to be a suppressive person. I want to be an uptone person. I want to be somebody who, hey, Tony, that bike is awesome. You know what would make it safer? A bigger light. And you know what? I've got just the light for you. I'm going to keep you safe when you ride at night. Right? Hey, Tony, that bike makes an awful lot of chatter. You should get that fixed. Suppressive? Yeah. Tony, your artwork, you're not very good. That is a suppressive person. Laura FM is a suppressive person, and she goes around declaring how great it is that she's suppressive. Why? Because Laura FM has had some issue. I don't know what that is. I don't know what Serge's issue is, what his disconnect was. But I will tell you this, Tony, there is one common denominator with most of the former Scientologists. They are all part of one specific group, except for Laura so far. And maybe that is what is to come for her. I don't know how long she's been on a Scientology, but this common denominator, and it's not like I wouldn't have known this in the time that I was in Scientology, except for it makes sense to me because the concept of Scientology is clearing the planet, right? And Scientology families tend to have a lot of kids. They believe in breeding, right?
Right.
Which goes against what a Sea Org member. Sea Org members are not allowed to have children. And that's because while you're in the Sea Org, you have to live by these rules. Just like if you were in the military, you have to live by certain rules in the military. Sea Org has those rules. You don't get pregnant. You can be married. In fact, they think that's better that you're married because then you share a space, right?
Wizzy, hold on 1 second, all right? I got to run in this building for a second,
All
so
right.
just keep talking. But I'm
All right,
just going to be listening. I'm just going to be listening.
All
I'll be right back.
So the protesters who are all former Scientologists, you got a little feedback, Tony. I'm going to mute you out. When I see Tony come back, I'll bring him back up, but a little feedback. Hey, Nora. But they believe in breeding. And when you have same-sex relationships, in essence, that goes against the principles of Scientology, just like Christianity, right? So you may be gay in Scientology, but of course, their belief is that you're to procreate and create more Scientologists. So that's the one common denominator. So that if I suppose you're gay and you're in Scientology, you then have to make some sort of decision. Okay, like, I can't believe both these things, can I? And Serge, Nora, not Aaron, but maybe half of the anti-protesters are gay. And they've left Scientology at some point. That was, right. It was the DNC. I'm pushing on the wrong one. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you very much. That was going to kill me thinking about what that was. But yes, the DNC in Chicago. Peter Burns, that's awful. Come on, man. Be an adult. Be an adult. Attacking the idea, the argument, not the person. Understood? And so that's the one thing that I've noticed amongst all the anti-protesters. Because, like, Leah Remini doesn't make any of these same claims. She's a long-time her family, long-time Scientologists. The people that I know that have been in Scientology all of their lives don't make these same claims. Why is Lara, Sarge, why are they different? Why is Nora different about these things? So those are my questions. And my belief, and the reason Lara is upset, is because I made the claim that what they're saying is just factually not true, and that if they told you the truth, it would destroy their narrative. They also get a lot of money. And I think that you've also learned and seen that there's people within their community, the anti-Scientology protesters, that have seen what they've been doing and are questioning their beliefs and claims as well. Again, because they don't have Tony's back, because they don't have what Scientology would call mass, which is, something of substance. They don't have a direct connection. They've not been there. They don't see it. They're working off secondhand information from Lara, from Serge. They're repeating their bullshit, because I've watched it. Serge standing out on the street screaming at the top of his lungs that he was trafficked by Scientology. No, Serge, you were delivered to Scientology. You were brought there by your parents who are Scientologists. I don't think Serge, and also too, Serge goes on about disconnection. That was the other thing that caught me. He disconnected from people who were very bad to him. And that might be his dad. He wasn't really clear about that. But he disconnected. While simultaneously, Scientology bad because they make you disconnect from suppressive people. Those are the only people you disconnect from in Scientology. It's people who are suppressive to you as an individual. Tony's not suppressive
creates
to
a little
me,
bit
so
of a
I'm not
loop.
disconnecting from him.
Creates a loop there, doesn't it?
It does. It is circular thought in so many ways. And being truthful and honest, like I get that Laura didn't have a good experience in Scientology. I also believe simultaneously that Laura had a great life in Scientology for some period of time. Because could it be forced on you? It doesn't really work that way, because you can't force somebody to I'm missing the term, Tony, but it's at the end of a course. You have to testify. You have to attest. Thank you. You cannot force somebody to attest.
Right.
Right. So when you get to that end point and you can't attest because you didn't really learn it because you were forced, Scientology doesn't work. So there's sort of checks and balances within Scientology to see if you're bullshitting your way through, which is funny. So can you bullshit your way through? Maybe
it's like,
to a certain extent,
she is her own argument, in a sense.
She is her own argument. Like, it is possible to cheat a lie detector test, like a polygraph, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible. Can everybody do it? No. It takes skill and training. Mm-hmm. Maybe she did, but what does it matter if she did? The simple fact is she went through Scientology. Otherwise, she wouldn't be who she is. She wouldn't be skillful. She wouldn't be great with music. Not that she wouldn't be great with music, but Scientology for her will actually help her be better at that in a way.
I'm gonna skate by what you just said. Let's just keep going with the great part about the music.
I know, and I there's plenty of great musicians, but there's also a lot of huge musicians that were and are Scientologists. But the part that you missed, Tony, that I didn't get to was, and I might use a marijuana reference here because I don't really smoke marijuana, but I know a lot of people who use marijuana as an artist to create. And isn't there something that happens when you smoke that sort of clears that way and you become like things become more vivid?
Yes, I mean, and I believe that if you mix things, it kind of screws with that balance.
Sure. Yes.
But from someone, I don't drink alcohol, I don't take hard drugs, don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I do just use cannabis products. But yeah, there is a calm when your brain moves a little quickly. There's a clarity that does happen.
Now, imagine that Scientology does that same thing without drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because what Scientology ultimately is supposed to do is to clear out all the negative, bad things in your subconscious mind that allow the important things to get to the top. That's Scientology, the way I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Tom Cruise is such an incredible actor that does his own stunts. Oh, so
do you see Lara sort of leading him down a certain path that doesn't really let him see what's going on in some places? Like she's dictating what he consumes.
Well, in a way, absolutely. Like, because she basically eliminated my conversation with him. I wasn't having a conversation with Laura. I was questioning Scott and his beliefs yesterday. And she came in, Scott was doing his own thing, but she came in and removed me from that conversation to either protect her narrative from Scott or from the entire chat. But I was basically destroying her narrative a little piece at a time because, again, none of them could come back and tell me specifically, okay, how are they trafficked? How are these claims being done?
Right.
What is the deal like? Because, if you think just because I didn't see children getting, doesn't mean, well, yeah, it actually does. Because if this is a whole, just like Christianity, not every priest is doing awful things to kids. There are priests that are, and they're clearly hiding it. Yeah, most people wouldn't know. So let's take that down, because the people that I know that are Scientologists are great people. And in fact, people that I would go out on a limb for before most average people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that they're worthy generally 99% of the time for that kindness, because I know that they give that kindness out in the world. So, Tony, it's getting late. I'd love to have more conversation with you.
We sure will,
Let's do
bud.
a studio stream one night.
You got it. I just wanted to jump in because you were inviting me. I didn't want to, make it seem like I was stiffing you at the bar.
The reason I'm saying goodbye to you is I've got Weird Doll Lady here. That's her moniker that she's put in. And I'd love to have this conversation. Please listen. This woman has been around for a while. She started making little videos using her adorable little dolls to push a false narrative on people that left-wingers ate up like crazy because they hate conservatives. So listen into this lady. She's great. And
I sure will, man.
Talk more soon.
I am going to dip out. Let's talk, buddy.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me on. Chat. See you later.
We'll see you later. Bye. All right. I've got here. I want to make sure that it's just the two of us. You got your camera turned off.
Absolutely.
Which is weird because...
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Usually what it does is it shows like a little icon for your channel or whatever you can put up any picture you want. Way more interesting than no camera, which is weird. But
yeah, it could have been my doll face. I don't know.
It could have. Yeah, it should be your doll face. And then what it does is it strobes when you talk.
Oh.
Yeah, but we can deal with this. In fact, I'll just make it small. I know you're still
Don't
there.
make me her.
No, we'll just make you smaller in the screen because I don't have too many choices. So what would you like to?
I'm glad I'm finally getting a chance to talk to you.
Yeah. What would you like me to refer to you as? Because I don't want to call you Weird Doll Lady because I know you're not Weird Doll Lady.
You can call me Maggie because everyone knows my name by now.
Maggie. Okay.
So that's fine.
Maggie, I'm going to start by saying this. You sound like somebody else.
No, I'm definitely me. I'm Maggie.
I know. Okay. And I appreciate that.
What do you think I sound like?
I'm not going to say, but I'm just telling you right now, you sound like someone else.
Okay.
Who's been around these streets, as we would call them. And I'm not going to pass judgment. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. My instant, like, I know exactly who this is. However,
I have spoken on X, on Twitter. Like I used to very briefly. I spoke with Mina and them.
Yeah.
So you would have heard the same voice there.
And maybe that's it. But there was another woman who was going around impersonating other people or acting like other people.
Never done that. Promise you.
And I appreciate that. But it's
you know what, Lizzie? I have to interrupt you. I have been accused of several things that are false, and of course that's common in these streets. And the longer everyone has been around, the more toxic and terrible it's gotten. That's why I took actually a break for a long time.
You did. I did notice that. Well, it seemed to me that you had.
I took down all my videos except for my personal videos that I did, because how ugly it got.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of self-reflection in that time. I realized that I probably did hurt people's feelings with my videos. That was never really my intention. My intention was always to make light of ugly situations. And
Maggie, I'm sorry. Can I want to thank you for recognizing and acknowledging that. That's huge to me. You don't that's the nicest thing you could have said. No, that you recognized how what you were doing was hurting people. Not that I was hurt, because I wasn't really special enough to have that many, but
I wouldn't think
the fact that you said that is, thank you.
I actually know who made me realize it was Vaughn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she was very vocal, and no one else I'd ever done videos about had ever even mentioned it. Like, I did terrible videos about Oreo Express, and of course he never would have said anything because he's got better things to do with his time.
Right.
But Vaughn, I considered her I'll say friendly back in the day. Like, we've been all watching this together, as I'll use a telescope phrase, as a community.
It's been a journey for everyone. We've all been heading west to a new land, but we've all taken different paths. Maybe. But we've all seen what those paths look like.
Yeah. So
and I know what you mean about Vaughn. Vaughn has been all over the place in this.
Yeah, and Vaughn back in the day was one of the people I liked chatting with.
She can talk.
Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked her. I didn't even realize she was such a Trump supporter. I probably wouldn't have liked her as much. But I liked her.
But again, I don't think she was. Remember.
I don't think so either.
Well, no, but
she was funny. I feel like we have a lot of similarities. I know that's gonna.
It was a lot of ups and downs, right? People change their beliefs. It's easy to.
She's very emotional. I'm very emotional. There was things that I liked about her. I thought she was a very generous person, and I liked that about her. So after I made the videos of Vaughn, and I saw how it really hurt her feelings.
Yeah.
And I realized, wow, I thought I was being funny. And I was just kind of highlighting her personality quirks. I do it to myself. My own family videos, my own reenactments of my family were the same way. I am a weird person, and I reenacted my weird family in my life. So I was thinking I'm doing the same thing with Vaughn, but obviously I saw it hurt her. And it probably hurt her because we used to be friendly with each other. And I didn't have ill will towards her. I think she is off her rocker, and she gives DOA way too much power, way too much credit. She makes him out to be something huge, and he's not. He's just a guy.
Right.
But after I saw her reaction, I was like, I'm doing something wrong. And after I was, sorry, after my family was threatened by somebody else, I realized that it's not worth it to me. I'm not going to do these videos anymore. Right. And have my family threatened, because my family, they're all very good people. I consider myself a good person. I've never done a drug in my life. I've never been in jail. even though Vaughn said it many times that everyone in DOA's chat's criminal, I've never been a criminal. I volunteered with the fire department in my city. I volunteered with the police department in my city. In my city, I am a good person. People know me. They don't think I'm something awful. Yeah. But when this person called me, threatened my family, and this was a fellow Democrat, we'll say. It shook me to the core. And it's crazy because all these years I've been talking down to Trump supporters on chat, right? I've said ugly, derogatory things in chats before. Never did any of them come back and attack me personally. Never. It's never happened. The one time I finally get attacked personally was, of course, Anarchy Princess. Everyone knows that. I don't consider her a Democrat or a liberal. I consider her a bitch. But her friend, I would think she was a Democrat, and she attacked me and my family. So the allies I thought I had, basically I felt betrayed. And so I just stopped everything. I almost took everything off. I almost just quit completely. My husband has wanted me to quit completely for a while now. Right. But it was a hobby. It was fun for me. It was fun. I have a Barbie collection. I have a lot of extra dolls just laying around. And it was kind of a creative outlet for me. And
maybe it was just where your source of material was coming from, not what it was you were doing, because your videos were good. I know how hard it is to do, like stop motion, right?
I was learning.
Yes, of course. You were learning.
For me because I was like,
right.
Every time I would get a new program, I'd tweak it a little bit, and I would be like, oh, I can do this cool thing now. I can do these backgrounds instead, or oh, I can add music now. So it was fun.
Right. It was your story that was the problem that affected people. I can tell you how it affected me.
Okay.
Go
ahead. Tell me.
your stories, like a lot of things we see social media wise, are fragments of factual bits.
Yeah.
Right. That aren't truthful. Right.
Right. And it's satire.
Yeah. Well, whatever. But like Jimmy Fallon's monologue from yesterday is a great example of, the mindset that allows people to say things that are just intended to hurt. Mm-hmm. Right. The only part, and if anybody watches that segment, the only part I thought was actually kind of funny was it was from left to right. I could pull it up, but from left to right, it was Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Donald Trump.
I'm sorry, Lacey, can I stop you really quick? Yeah. Because somebody in your chat is using my full name. I'm sure it's Anarchy Princess or her friend KMS. So if you could block that person, that would be great.
Could somebody please take care of that? I do not know where that is. And let's just eliminate that.
I mean, I can take shit. I can take the shit. Shit post about me all day, but don't use my full fucking name.
Right. So
it's so bullshit.
And tell me if I'm whatever. This has been a battle that I've had to deal with for a long time. And I'm not making this, I promise you, I'm not trying to make this about me, but I'm trying to help you understand for half a second that when you come at people this way, And I have walked a very fine line ever since I started streaming, because I understood this. I actually really understood it. And I knew how what I was doing could affect people in a lot of various ways. And for me to have a clear conscience, because that was important, because I don't intend to hurt anyone. But I wanted people to see the truth, because I knew that the truth was not being shown. That, you know, nobody's ever been able to go, oh, your video about so-and-so, this and that is where you were wrong. And you intentionally created content with the dolls to, I don't believe, have hate. You were sort of following the rest of the kids in the yard and going after people who just didn't deserve it. And Vaughn is one of those people. As much as I disagree with Vaughn on certain things, and right, and I understand the personality of Vaughn.
Yes, I apologize.
Yes, and it's interesting for me to hear you say that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting for me to hear you say that she was sort of the turning point on that. But it wasn't until you had a negative repercussion when people pushed back on you the only way they knew how.
Yeah, you're right. I got yeah. I had been in this little safe bubble.
Right. For me, I just ignored you.
I got it. Oh, I know.
Right.
I know.
And I told you that.
I know.
I might have called you a B word once or twice. Because
no, you called me an asshole.
That's right. I'm sorry. You are so right. And I love that, because I knew how much it bothered you.
It did bother me.
It was spot on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You were kind of acting like
I'm not an asshole.
No, but you were acting like an asshole.
I can be a bitch.
Whatever, but I didn't want to call you that, because but an asshole is very different. Like, if you're, and that's right. I totally remember. Yes,
I wanted you to apologize a million times. That's all I ever
tried to get, and I was never going to apologize. But that's why I think now is a totally different time. And I am not going to say that I regret calling you an asshole, because I wholeheartedly and firmly still feel that if I was doing what you were doing, that I would have to accept the fact that I was being an asshole. Right?
So can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Interrupt.
We're having an adult conversation.
The one thing about my dolls that I felt was different was that I didn't use people's actual faces.
Right.
And I would never do that.
You had a representation of them.
I think it's cruel what people have been doing lately on both sides. I think it's very cruel to use people's real faces and put them on other images. I think that's really mean. People will say, oh, whatever, Maggie, you used dolls and you made fun of me and you had cars run over me, so you're just as bad. And like, maybe people could have that opinion that I'm just as bad, but I think using people's actual faces is worse. I feel like that's kind of being a bully. So that, I don't know, there's a lot of things that just started to change in my brain. Like, I was like, I'm a bully like all these other bullies. Like, I'm sorry, Boss Money, you're a bully. You're a freaking bully. I know he's on my side, quote unquote, but he's a bully. Like, stop bullying that poor man. Like, who cares?
Right.
And
that he's definitely one of those
it's just
people
mean. Just stop doing it. It's mean. And like Vaughn will say, well, Maggie, you're just as mean. And I have to accept that. Like, I guess I am just as mean.
But
and
you can change that.
And I need to
You can
stop.
recognize it and you can change
so
it.
I did.
is a huge moment right now. I think
I killed my Twitter. I killed it off. I had a lot of followers. I killed it off, I had like 6,000 something followers, but it was that intense for me that I was like, I will destroy it all. I'll get rid of it all. It's all an online persona anyway. Who cares? 6,000 people. I don't even freaking know a single one of them. So who the hell cares?
Right.
I'll kill it all.
Maggie,
so I killed it off. Yes.
I wanted to point out, I threw up on the screen, Purple Viking says, so now she's playing victim. Gee whiz.
I'm not a victim of anything.
And
I will say my family's a victim of one fucking woman because she called and threatened my fucking family. So I will say they were victim of my bullshit. And that's why I stopped. I thought my husband is such a damn good man.
Yeah.
So I will not jeopardize him with my bullshit. It's my bullshit. I'm not the victim. He was going to be the victim. She threatened to call his job. My husband is a lifelong fucking emergency room nurse.
Yeah.
He saves people's lives.
Right.
And you're going to call a hospital and try and get him fired because of my bullshit? Like, I am the piece of shit.
Right.
It's me, not my husband, not my sister, not my 90-year-old mom. You're going to call my 90-year-old mom?
Right. And I'd like to think that they
your
didn't do that.
Your daughter's making Barbie videos. Like, what the fuck are you going to say?
Yeah. And I'd like to think that they didn't do that.
So whoever said that I'm the victim, I'm not a victim. I'm telling you.
And that's what I wanted to point out to Purple Viking, who said
I was wrong. I was wrong. I'm telling you and your listeners, I was a bully. I was wrong. I did that.
Right.
I
appreciate that.
I hurt her feelings and I'm done.
Yeah.
And I love the chairman. I think she's amazing. She's super fun.
I gotta
that's my opinion.
I know. And I got to disagree and push back on that.
I just will say she's
doing
very
the same
funny.
thing you are.
Yes, let me finish.
She's doing the same thing you are.
I think she's very funny, but I had to stop even being on their spaces because I thought the same thing. Like, I'm still being involved in sort of a mean, mean-hearted thing. And like, some people deserve it. Anarchy Princess deserves every piece of shit thing I posted about her. I will stand behind every single mean ass post I've ever written about her, but I will no longer do that. I have quit doing that. Everyone can just watch her actions and make their own opinion. And that's what I also had to learn. Like, what I say isn't changing anybody's mind. And that will thrust me into DOA, okay? All these people, including you, are not going to change people's mind that support him. They have to see it for themselves. At some point,
Scientology right there.
It's
you
true.
You wouldn't believe
no
it. But
matter how much you say this person is this, their people are going to refute you, right? So no matter how much I can tell people that Anarchy Princess is a soulless bitch, no one's going to agree with that.
Right.
KMS is probably going to call me fucking again tomorrow and threaten me again. But it's like, I'm not trying to change your mind, okay?
It's interesting though if they're hearing this and maybe understanding a little bit, and I think that's the positive sort of message to come out of this, because I was gonna push back on you with the Anarchy Princess thing, because I have no love for her, and I loathe that soulless person that we've all come to know. I said my piece about what she did in DC.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I cannot be petty and hypocritical to attack her in the same way. And I appreciate that you've laid off that, because honestly, like, I don't see her growing. I don't see her having fans. She should have. But people, even like true left-wingers, can't stand behind somebody like her because she does vile, right? And like, I think
she's not funny. She's vile.
No, she's just vile.
It's
and
not
like,
funny.
It's like the protesting movements that I watched in LA. At some point, people started to go, wait a minute, there's a lot of violence and destruction going on here, and I'm not coming out for that. And they slowed down. And it was the same activists over and over again.
Yeah.
And then they got arrested in San Diego, and then it all went to a stop because, you know, they couldn't stop from getting arrested. So it's like, it's to me, it's that same thing that happens, is that people see how Scott's channel, here's an example. Scott hasn't broken like 15,000 on his channel. He had William Good, who has like had 150,000. You know, William gets a lot of support for hating on police. There's a lot of people in this country that hate police, and they love watching William verbally attack police officers and just be a dick, right? And William supported Scott, but his 150,000 followers.
I'm sorry, Wizzy, can you please block the person using my husband's name?
I do not know who that is. So I know you don't want to say
I've
it.
never had a mental break. I've never gone to a psychiatrist, like blah blah blah.
Door knocker, can we just
speaking of my husband, speaking of my
I want to know who's doing that, door knocker.
It's AP or KMS. Yeah. They're assholes.
You can't tell based on the
or Baldy motherfucker. That's a piece of shit too. But any man, let me just say this: any man that would break up with a woman that seemed intelligent and hook up with a girl that disowned her own fucking children, he has got to be a piece of shit. Anyway, speaking of husbands, I have a very dear husband that will be coming home from work soon, and I really need to start cooking.
I know, Maggie, I appreciate it, and I get it.
I just do want to say one more thing about DOA, because I don't care about Scientology. Obviously, he's not going to shut down Scientology. No. The thing I like about DOA is he is funny to me. He's entertaining to me. I hardly watch him anymore.
At the expense of others, Maggie. I thought we figured this out. At the expense of others, you find comedy in Scott and what he does. Don't do that.
Lacey, I'll probably get there. Okay, I'll probably get there.
I need you to.
I'm probably almost there.
Yeah, I feel like you're almost there. But you say things like, "Oh, I think Scott's funny," Wizzy, at the expense of other people, and it's not funny. Yes, I'm there.
PSA for everyone here is this has become an addiction. I think for all of us, we're addicted. I've broken free of most of my YouTube addiction. The one last addiction is Ant. I'm almost done with it because I can't stand the toxicity. And anytime I'm in there, my husband's name gets posted, my name gets posted.
They're gonna talk to his chat.
So like, I don't even have any enjoyment going in his chat because like I'm gonna get doxed, but whatever.
Yeah. He has no respect for his chat.
I just like
here's the thing. Create a different account. You know, then they don't know it's you.
I don't even care anymore because I'm just done with it.
Just create a separate account that doesn't have reenactment with dolls on it, and then nobody's going to attack you. You can go in there, share your beliefs, do your thing.
Yeah, but then
most people won't notice.
If I told Aunt,
don't tell Aunt.
Yeah, I would
go in there as somebody else and just interact. If that's if you think he's funny,
it's not that important to me. I was happy to see him in DC. That's my jam. That's what I'm interested in.
I want you to see the full view of
I don't
where you're
care
at and what you're doing. I know.
But anyway, I really do need to cook and
enjoy. Cook something nice. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate being able to talk it all out. I do think you're a good person. We have very different political views, but that's fine. We can.
Do you really know what my beliefs are? I don't really share them a whole lot. Seriously, like nobody. That's my point.
Well,
is nobody talks about the issues because we can't even get to that. Everybody's so charged up about everything. So another time, time. I would enjoy streaming, having these conversations. I like this stuff.
Yeah.
So
okay. Have a good night.
It was good talking to you. Thank you.
Bye.
You guys, I got to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go to work. I haven't had dinner. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. It's 2 seconds. You know what? Screw Laura FM. You guys can go watch this. This is Taylor Toronto not released DOA live stream on which account was this? Which account was this? Lore of DOA here. You can go watch it on your own, doing your thing. Lore of DOA. It's got a 6,500 subscribers. The 6,175 people watched his live stream, and you can go watch it on your own. I highly recommend it. The other account that I found earlier, do some homework here. Where is, I don't know if it'll show it.
Fact, you dumbass. That you are covering.
Oh, Jesus. I don't know if I can pull up my history here. History. No, it's only, oh, here. This person. Here, watch this person for a second. Again, this is another one of the anti-Scientology streamers from Portland. Saturday Scientology protest. Rika is the name on the account. I'll paste this up here. For next time. You don't have to watch much, but just pump in there. And you'll see how she yells at buildings. And it'll give you a little sense of what they're, it doesn't really tell you what they're protesting because they never really, like, they just yell shit and cray on the ground and act like children. But there's so many of them. I say many, there's maybe 10, 15 of them. But I was watching her, because she popped up in my recommendeds. Cozy Retreat. Oh, this one was weird too. This is
but I wanted to wish you a happy birthday. Summer sends her best wishes.
Or
keep like, doing what you're doing. You're killing it. Love your face. Bye.
Happy birthday, Josie.
Why can't I show chat replay? Why is it showing me? Because that wasn't Rika's. I guess maybe it was her stream. I don't know. They call it the Queerdo Corner special presentation. I guess that's how I got there. Scott had posted it to go watch. That's what it was. But I don't know. You could go down a complete rabbit hole. I was watching Troll Central. I stop into Troll Central at special times. And it was interesting because yesterday when I stopped in, it was because Al Munson and what was the other account? It was Al Munson and was it Charlie Cheswick? No, it wasn't Charlie. Let me see here. It wasn't Charlie. So I had been in, I was watching the Proud Boys in D.C. On News to Share. And he does not moderate his chat at all. And one of the things that happened is there was accounts in there spelling out words, and they go in there as Al Munson because, people are like, Al's been trolling and doing all this stuff, right? And so I'd seen that once before in News to Share's chat, and I went over to Troll Central. I'm like, hey, Al, somebody's over there acting like you. Now, Al Munson has he's changed up his moniker there, but it was clear that it wasn't him. But somebody in the chat was like, hey, how come Wizzy didn't, didn't stand up for Al? Well, I did the first time. And then, I got dragged through the mud with Al because Al was a dick. And so that's why, why would I stand up for Al Munson? Because Al Munson's an asshole. So it was interesting that, I forget who it was that was making that comment. Wizzy, then what about Natalie's kid or Liz or Reese getting surgery from getting beat, or Laura being cut from parents and on and on? Yeah, Laura, if I'm there. Wizzy, you are sticking up for Scientology, tells me all I need to know. It was from SP from afar. SP, suppressive person from afar. See, they're proud to be suppressive people. Nobody should be proud to be a suppressive person. Yeah, I can't find it. And it's interesting. Oh, there it is. Because someone else was in that live chat spreading a name that they believe is Al Munson with a city and state, which I thought was interesting. Because I think that when Reenactment with Dolls Maggie was talking, like, I don't think she would have stopped being a bully, as she says, if it weren't for somebody finding out who's responsible for the bullying and holding them accountable. And, we didn't really get to the deep part of this conversation, which, ultimately is, the bickering between political rivals for a long time has been extremely damaging to the country in so many ways. And that I think that, Maggie has gotten a little bit of firsthand experience with that. Never forget the Hagerstown shower incident. Oh, Tyson. Who was that? The Hagerstown shower incident. I know this. Who was that? Was it somebody took a camera live stream in the... I'm trying to remember. Like, I've heard this accusation before. Come on, Tyson, help me out. Sundown says, never happened. So, two names I'm not familiar with, Tyson and Sundown. Graw, am I going to have to put this chat on subscriber moded next time? What happened in the showers stayed in the showers. Of course it did. Showers are like Vegas. Don't drop the soap. You still making people happy, Bill? I'm sure you are. You're a good man. All right, you guys. It's been a blast. We didn't get through everything, but like usual, it is what it is. But I am sorry that the weak leftist shills that have no problem espousing complete bullshit about people on their interwebs. Mina, Taylor Jennings, I'm going to say your name all day long, Taylor, because it was your account name. So don't give me this. It's not me. If you were Snappy Fiddle, I'd call you Snappy Fiddle, but you weren't. You were Taylor Jennings on your account. So, you know, they just don't have it. And I even told Mina I would be very kind to her and we would have an adult conversation. And it's funny because Maggie sort of, you know, filled that void tonight. And I give Maggie a lot of credit. And Vaughn, you know, you and I have had our disagreements and it is what it is, but women can be vicious. I saw a thing today called girl. That's not girl hate. It was girl on girl, like girls attacking appearances and like just women can be brutal to each other, far worse than they can be to anybody else. Yeah. So don't be that way. All of you, be kind to one another. Be good Scientology. No. Just be kind to people. It's a new era. Everyone is going to prosper. Everyone's going to do well. We're all going to live great lives. And hopefully, we're all going to learn to just get along. We all want the same thing. How we get there, that'll be the trick. Be willing to give a little and everybody else give a little, and maybe we can find that nice compromise. Bill the Baker, God Rides a Harley, Door Knocker, Troy. Thank you guys. I appreciate you being here. See you next time. Wizzy out. Bye, everybody.